try to explain what you do for a living and what you do for a living to someone from 1880. You'd be like, okay, so I help people get better at sports. And they're like, why? It's for leisure. You're like, okay. So
it's a lot of money in this, actually.
Welcome to Coach 'em Up Podcast. I'm here with Zach, as always.
What's up?
And dude, we're excited to have Dr. Mike Israetel on the show today. Mike, what's up, dude? Yeah.
You know, I'm like highly likely to disappoint. You're someone you kind of look into and you're like, oh my God, Dr. Mike, he's a big deal. And you meet me and someone, later you finish the podcast and like, how was he? And you're like, just don't fucking just.
It actually kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mike, like most people listening to this podcast, they know who you are.
Okay.
But for the sake of conversation, can you give us just your background, how you got into training, maybe even your athletic background leading into training, and then what you're up to now?
You bet. I wrestled in high school, and that kind of gave me the impetus to start being interested in physical training, because wrestling is a really interesting way to get it front and center to you that the physical matters, your body matters. Because the stronger, more jacked kids, they just did better. I was like, well, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
And so after my first year of wrestling, I started lifting weights to get stronger for wrestling. It was my intent. And I ended up, over the course of high school, actually falling in love with lifting and doing less wrestling than I thought I was going to do and more lifting. Got to college, started powerlifting, competed in powerlifting, and then I was like, okay, this is just an obsession at this point. Mm-hmm. Powerlifting was really cool because it is so objective. Like you can tell yourself you have a better pump or your contraction if you're doing some hypertrophy training. There are ways to metric hypertrophy training. I've talked about a lot of them. I can absolutely do that again. But in strength training, it's like how many reps for how much load did you do? It's super objective. And in powerlifting, there's like technique standards too, like depth and stuff like that. And so it's very easy to see if you're progressing. And so to me at that point, I realized like I wanted to get as strong as I could. And I realized that, okay, so we have a very objective thing and very objective goals, and we're dealing with a physical system that adapts. It's a biological system. Sounds like science can do something about this. Because like, when they're trying to launch a rocket to the moon, they're not like, oh, let's swag this.
Yeah.
Like, well, all the rocket
It'll
guys.
probably work out.
The best rocket guys in the 60s say this works.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to do some real science.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, science is going to do this for me. And so I just began a journey, went to a master's program, went to a Ph.D. program, basically just try to learn more stuff about how the body works. At some point late in my undergrad, and for sure through my master's, I fell in love with like hypertrophy training and just getting jacked. So I did a lot more of that. And then through my PhD at East Tennessee State, I became more and more fascinated with how to take the hypertrophy training and maximize that, fat loss, maximize it through the scientific approach, which at that time was quite a nascent time for the industry. And there wasn't a lot of, if you wanted to buy a book about how to get jacked through the science of bodybuilding, it just didn't exist actually. We ended up writing one of the first books like that. And so on my way through that journey, I got a PhD. And then I started being a professor and I started professing and I kept training. I competed in bodybuilding and so on and so forth. Then at one point I got really tired of just doing lots of steps for walking. And I missed wrestling and I missed combat. And my first year at Central Missouri, when I was a professor, actually during my interview, I met Dr. Jen Case, and she was already a former MMA world champ. And I was like, hey, like, can I start training jiu-jitsu with you when I get into town? And she's like, yeah, sure, kid. Yeah. But like, the way it works with jiu-jitsu is everyone says I want to start doing it and almost no one shows up. And most of the people that show up, they realize like their hair gets ripped off their arms and people's sweat goes into their eyes.
Very uncomfortable.
Like, I'm
very
uncomfortable. Fuck this. Yeah. No thanks. And I actually stuck around. And so I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about 10 years. And so jiu-jitsu plus hypertrophy training, all that in the mix. And at some point in my PhD program, my friend Nick Shaw and I, we started Renaissance Periodization, the company, because we had both, for a year after my master's and after Nick's undergrad, coached people, personal trained in New York City. And once I left New York and Nick stuck around to keep personal training, I went to go get my PhD. I still had a lot of clients that I corresponded with via email. And most of the coaching I was doing was nutritional coaching, because it's difficult to coach someone in resistance training when you're not there physically with them, or at least more difficult. And, they were starting to become more scientifically oriented, these clients. And, you explain enough. And these are all New York, like, midtown executives, elites.
They're like type
They're
A.
super smart, right?
Yeah.
And they can't help but start to formulate systems in their head. And then they would talk to their trainers. And some of these trainers were great, but some of the trainers were like just bro trainers.
Yep.
And it's like when you're training someone who went to like Harvard Business School,
You can't bro it out.
they were starting to learn nutrition.
Yeah.
And they ask you questions and you give them non sequiturs as answers. They're like, okay, so my nutrition coach is getting his PhD and he says this, but you went to prison and that's your certification.
Yeah, hell
you say this.
Because pull-ups.
Just, the century program, just 100 push-ups and shit.
Let's get a deck of cards out.
Have to clench your asshole the whole time. Like, just trust me, do it.
Believe it.
It'll happen to you otherwise. Like, what will happen? Just do it.
Just do it. Trust.
So they occasionally would be like, hey, like I'm looking for a trainer in the city. Do you know anyone good? And I was like, well, my friend, Mr. Nick Shaw, my friend Nick Shaw, my friend Nick. And a friend doesn't sound formal. It sounds like just some guy I know, but it was much more than that. And so Nick and I started a company called RP together, mostly so we could just call each other colleagues. And then so when people came to him for nutritional programming, he would send them to me over email. And then when people came to me from the nutrition side, because I would also have a situation where I nutrition coached someone, they got in much better shape. And like 3 people at their office, they're like, what the hell are you doing? Get me in. And then these people would start being my diet clients. And they were like, I need a good trainer in the city. My colleague and co-founder, Mr. Nick Shaw. And at the time, he wasn't wealthy yet, so it was just Nick Shaw. But now it's Mr. Nick Shaw.
Got it.
I like that.
But so it was easier to do that. At some point, we got so many clients, and we could only take so many. Nick was full-time personal trainer. I was full-time PhD student, so I had some clients, but there's only so many you can take. And we had more interest than we had output. And I looked around and we had like a ton of high level, like PhD student people at the program at East Tennessee State. And everyone knew things.
Who are the head professors at East Tennessee State?
Dr. Mike Stone.
Yeah, like the Stones. So for anyone at home that doesn't know the Stones, do your research. But that's like one of the most high level, exercise science programs probably in the world.
They've done it all.
Yeah.
They really have. This episode brought to you by Berry Frost. It's cold. I'm cold drinking. So we started accruing a team of coaches that were super, super good at stuff. And then we eventually built out the coaching business quite considerably. And then what we were getting after a while is tons of new clients from everywhere. We'd program in certain ways, both for resistance training and for diet. And they started to ask us, like, why are you doing it this way versus the other people that do it this way? And like there were a few nutrition textbooks that were pretty decent. They're like, I'm not going to send you a textbook. So I ended up like copying and pasting the same more or less email to a lot of people. And I was like, this is weird. We have to write a book about like how to diet to get lean and to get jacked. So we hit up Chad Wesley Smith and he published that book for us. It went really well. Renaissance Diet, the original. After that, we published the Scientific Principles of Strength Training. And that book allowed us to tell people, hey, here's why we do what we do. And then we kept publishing books. And at the time that I was writing the diet book, I wrote a chapter on how to design diets. And I realized it was an algorithmic formula that you could absolutely put into a computer program. And I also realized you could do kind of a ghetto version with Excel spreadsheets, like a progression of less food, less food, less food. Like if you're not losing weight, eat less. If you are, eat the same. It's super easy to explain to people. And so I talked to Nick and I was like, do we want to build an app or do we want to do these templates? And he was like, let's try to see if the templates take and then we can work on the app later. And so the templates took off, made $1 gazillion.
I bought those templates.
Yeah,
I used it with my clients.
For total
You're
shit.
welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. They were like super effective, but the UI, UX is just like, it's an Excel sheet.
Yeah.
And later we bumped up to PDF. That was fucking
I had the PDF
high
too.
tech. Oh yeah, that's really
In
good.
fact, I think that was the one I had because I don't even think I remember the Excel.
Sure,
version.
sure. You
Yeah.
came later.
I did.
But it was really a cool product because it was so, we realized the simplicity of the templates was really their killer factor. Like just do this. As the diet space is so confusing to people. Like, what do I do? What do I count? Like, don't count shit. Just eat like boom, boom, boom. Here are all your meals. People did it. They got results. It really took off. We took that money and we used it to fund the creation of the Diet Coach app, which we went through 2 app developers that just flubbed completely. And we had to just take a hit.
So much money.
Yes. And then tons of money.
Tons of money, time.
all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
An opportunity cost, of course. And we finally found a developer that was awesome. He's permanently with us. He's our technical co-founder, Andrew at RP. He's amazing. And then he brought on a ton of other folks that he knew from the development world. And then they made us a hypertrophy app after we wrote the hypertrophy book. And I remember we had like about a year and a half until the hypertrophy app was going to be finished. And I told the engineers, I was like, I'm going to start doing YouTube. And we're going to try to get you a real good base of people to advertise the hypertrophy app to. And my kind of vision was, let's get 500K on YouTube subscribers for when the app releases. And I kid you not, fellas, I can't make this shit up. To the day the app released, on the same day we hit 500K on YouTube.
Whoa.
That's crazy. That was a day I was like, I'm living in a simulation.
Yeah,
What's
nothing's
going on?
real. This is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Then I accidentally sent a dick pic to the wrong person. So I was like, no, the universe is not created just for
correct.
me.
It's correct.
No.
God's like, oh no, one notch down you go.
Yeah.
But then they took it well, that person.
That's good.
So
Resilient.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, resilient. They actually liked it. Do you have more? I was like, oh my God. Sorry, Grandma.
Different app. Yeah.
But so
Michael Jackson's burner phone. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I love his various sounds.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. Oh, he would just randomly do it on stage. I go,
I have a Michael Jackson story real quick, not to completely
No, by
derail
all
you,
means.
but
No,
I
don't
was
derail
in
me.
juvenile detention. I loved that place growing up. And they couldn't
Hit
get
a
me out of there.
membership.
I was
Yeah,
like,
membership.
I'd
I'm
just
coming
show
back.
up, fail drug tests, and they would just let me back in.
love it.
But the only movie, and this is one of the COs was a real piece of shit, but also very funny for this. The only movie we were allowed outside of our pods for 1 hour to eat lunch and for entertainment. And the only form of entertainment was a VHS of Free Willy.
I was going to guess Free Willy.
It was Free yes. And it's
Yes,
the
it's
opening
touching the
scenes-
whale.
Yes. And so the only time I've ever watched Free Willy is in a correctional facility. And
It's really kind of appropriate because he was like in captivity
up.
and had the whole like dorsal fin. hook
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
You're like, I feel like Free Willy.
I am Free Willy?
You know what's messed up is if you like I have like I'm not allowed to do this. A bunch of my friends have children and I'm like restraining myself from doing this. But I have a temptation to like give kids the real deal of how the world really works too early. You know?
Yes.
I'd love to watch like with my nieces and nephews. I'd love to watch like Free Willy and be like, do you guys want to hear something really fucked up?
Yeah.
Like killer whales aren't so friendly in real life.
What?
They'll kill you.
You literally?
But they'll play with your dying body first.
Have you seen what they do to seals? Incredible.
Wild. Torture.
Uncle Mike told me that Free Willy's not nice.
Luckily, my sister, whose children they would be, she'd be like, yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
She's way more real than me. But in any case, the hypertrophy app came out, YouTube was doing well. And then through some combination of like, we have like a Friday show on YouTube and the exercise scientist reviews people's training. And we had I was on Chris Williamson's podcast the first time. And afterwards we stopped recording. I was like, hey man, I don't mean to bother you, but would you be interested in giving like 1 or 2 tips for YouTube, like how to do it? And he goes, let's hop on Zoom. You want to hit record on Zoom? And I was like, I can just take notes. He's like, you're going to want to hit record. I was like, okay. So like 14 minutes, he just like stream of consciousness rambled a ton of the stuff he knew about how to optimize YouTube. And I was like, it was like seeing the Matrix for the first time. And I instantly sent it to Scott, the video guy who runs our YouTube. And he was like, and it was wild because that allowed us to have a system for YouTube. Thumbnails,
That's
titles,
where you
release
got your
schedules.
system from that.
Absolutely. Chris Williamson is every single piece of
Is this clip available on YouTube? Because I want that stream of consciousness for...
Hell no, motherfucker. That shit's on, it's on my
Copyrighted.
Dropbox.
Yeah.
It's all of this, by the way, is like now fairly accessible. There's tons of YouTubers that talk about the process and the system. There's no secrets. It's just stuff we had no idea. we suspected there was a system to how to do things. It really is a system. Let me clarify: best practices.
Yeah.
Like if you just like are a human who just totally just grew up in like Iowa with 2 super conservative parents, and you move to New York and you want to go out clubbing, there's like a way to dress that you just wouldn't know about. How would you know about it? There's like a time to show up. There's a how to interact. And this is all stuff that's to the New York club scene, really uncontroversial, but you just have no idea. So in our YouTube journey, we just had no idea.
Right.
And so
You don't
Chris
know
would
what you
tell
don't
us.
know.
So one of the things he told us, for example, he took a look at a few of our thumbnails. He's like, you're going to want Mike's face on almost every thumbnail. And like, I'm over myself.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, hey, I think my face should be on everything.
Fucking,
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Right.
And also, I would just never guess that's a thing. And he's like, you're going to want to take it and like zoom in tons. So like most, like you guys have this poster right here. This is going to be a YouTube thumbnail. I would say make your faces twice as big, twice as zoomed in. And you would think like that looks ridiculous.
Absurd.
Yeah.
But on a phone, when you're scrolling, people identify, oh, it's that guy.
Yep.
That's the guy I want to hear things about. And so it was little tidbits like that that all added up. And once we instituted that system, plus kind of leaning in more to the personality, which I had no idea you were supposed to do. I'm a formally trained collegiate, like college professor. I was always trying to do fewer jokes than more jokes because like I actually had talkings too about you swear too much in class. I've
Right.
heard that before. But it was like, you got to lean into the personality. You got to lean into all these best practices. And as soon as we started doing that, our YouTube just started going, and it's still going. I have no idea where it is right now. Seriously, I lost the login. So
Don't even know what's
Scott, the
happening.
video
I
guy,
hope
could
it's
just be
going
posting
well.
God knows what on there.
Do you have a
Dick
business
videos.
background or anything like that? Or just kind of learn on the go? Or
So the good news for me is that I never needed to learn anything about business because now we have multiple equity partners in RP, mostly the core engineering team, as well as Nick and I and a few other folks. But RP was for a long time run by just Nick and I. And Nick has a sports management education from the University of Michigan. I mean, talk about the perfect fit for that, because it's literally what that is.
Yeah.
So Nick always literally ran the business side, and I was kind of like the face / the mind or whatever. I made all the digital products, and I went on the podcasts, and I went on seminars. And so for me, I got super lucky because like Nick is my fucking secret weapon.
Yep.
Because he's conscientious, he's diligent, he's obsessive. And over the time that I've known him quite a bit longer than we did RP, but we've been doing RP for like 12 years or something. He has done so much self-educating in kind of Eastern wisdom and best business practices. He's become so fucking calm. Like you can't throw him. They could be like, oh, like RP is like on fire. He'd be like, okay, no worries. Let's talk to the team and let's see what we can do.
good person to have on the team.
Holy shit, amazing.
Yeah.
And so Nick runs the business. So I never had to. Now I have like I'm a huge nerd. So one of my passions just for my recreational time is studying like economics. But economics and business is two quite very different things. Like business is a very, very small subcategory of economics. And one of which, to be honest, I wasn't ever super interested in. Like, man, same business. Same,
Right.
I just don't have the right kind of top hat to wear. I lost my monocle. It's terrible. But so no, I don't have a business background, but I have Mr. Nick Shaw. He is the business background. He's there permanently. And that situation that I have with him is such a cool thing because I could just totally focus on the craft and nothing else. And he doesn't have to care about studies or lit reviews or stay up to date on shit. He just runs the business side. And now Nick's the CEO of RP and I'm the chief content officer, which makes total sense now. And he runs not just RP, but he helps integrate the entire team of engineers. We have a COO. We have these people. I just don't deal with most people most times. I'll be on one meeting every other week with our exec team. And that's pretty much it. I interact with the engineers because I help write kind of the pseudocode for the apps. They'll reach out to me once every 2 to 4 months because we give them tons of work and developing software is tough. So they're out there in their basements doing the coding for a long time. We come back, we have a 2-hour meeting. They ask all the questions they need to ask, give them the trajectory, and they go. And so I mostly just am able to focus on continuing to stay up to date myself with the literature, continue to innovate on my own sort of theoretical approaches to this stuff, and creating reams and reams of content. And so the whole business side, financials, all the shit, I couldn't, first of all, care less about it.
I was just about to say, like, you get to do the thing that you're
good at.
You're good at and you enjoy.
I went to school for.
You're not like spread thin with trying to figure out spreadsheets and all this other
Shit
stuff.
that makes you miserable.
For sure. And it used to be that Nick and I would split the profits 50-50. And someone could say, like, dude, like, you're the guy here. Why are you giving away 50% of your money? So fucking worth it.
Yep.
By a long shot worth it, because the amount of money we were able to make together, dude, me by myself, useless as fuck. Yeah, sure, I could do some lower level shit. You guys would never have heard of me, almost certainly. But because I got to lean in full and Nick got to lean in full, we massively benefited. About a year ago, we restructured the company and we brought in our engineers and a few other folks like the COO into the equity partnership. And now I make some much smaller fraction of RP's profits, but because the whole thing puts out so much shit,
better.
Yeah.
I'm making an amount of money that, like, I take a look at how much I make a month and I'm like, no context for this whatsoever. What the hell is the meaning of life?
Right.
It all goes into investments. I never see the shit.
Sure.
But it's
for you.
just,
That's smart.
I guess, yeah, well, yes, Judaism rears its ugly head again. But did I say ugly? And it's just, I think, a testament to teamwork. Like, if you can do cool shit alone, but Elon Musk by himself is just like a fucking mega smart dude.
Yeah.
Elon Musk with 10,000 employees is Tesla.
Yeah.
And Tesla makes a little bit more money than Elon would make by himself, you could say. And so people tend to focus on the person, the front, the mad genius. And it's like, that's totally dope. But it takes a team, and the ultimate insight on business is get good people around you that are diligent, that are good at what they do, that want to be there, that want to grow the thing, have excellent communication, tons of trust, tons of real talk. So issues come up and you surface them immediately and crush them out. Everyone stays super diligent, super calm, super concerted. No like weird back talk or I have to vent to this other part of the business because of XYZ and accounting stuff.
Sure.
You get that good. It's like any team, like a football team. If you have, imagine you're coaching a football team or a basketball team and there's factions on the team. One faction doesn't like the other, dude. You don't have a fucking championship team. You got some fuck shit, 100%. So if you get that whole integrated thing working, it's just like, oh my God, it's like butter. It's just fucking
Well,
butter.
I'm glad. So Zach and I talked about this. We did a pod a couple days ago, just he and I, kind of recapping guests we've had on, guests that we're having on in the future. And the thing that we discussed that we keep getting a lot of questions. So people ask us all the time how we got to where we're at in our individual careers and how to get started in social media. And something I've watched you from, I remember I've been watching you, Mike. But I remember seeing YouTube videos of you, and I think you may have still had some hair hanging around, having conversations with Chad Wesley Smith. And I've been a consumer of your product. It's influenced my training long before I even got into athletics. I still apply those principles.
Back in the prison days.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. 3 reps in reserve for these push-ups, boys.
You're like, what?
Yeah. But I say all that to say, like, one of the main things that we wanted to focus this conversation on was where you started in terms of like the humble beginnings of RP.
I was never humble.
And then
You knew what you had.
I'm just trying to eat. This shit's all for me, baby.
Hell yeah, fuck yeah. And then like how you ended up here today, and it's been 12 years, you said?
Something like that. Mm-hmm.
The success you're having now, and like it really feels like in the past year, it's like been an exponent.
YouTube.
Yeah, dude.
That's
it's been blowing the fuck up.
Blowing up.
How fucking weird is it to sit here and see where you're at today, knowing like where you, like, did you ever envision this, or was it just like, I'm just going to take the next step and the next step and the next step? Was there like a plan? Mm-hmm. Can you take me through that thought process?
You bet. So it was exactly the second part of what you said and not at all the first. So first of all, Mr. Nick Shaw had way more vision than I did. Even when we began to be successful in coaching at RP, Nick was the first person that told me, I wanted to be like a top coach for physique people. Mm-hmm. And like you can make decent money as a top coach, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, be very in high repute and all this other stuff. I thought that was the tip of the spear.
Right.
That is as far as I saw. And Nick was like, digital products, books, templates, things that can help lots of people. He had that vision way before I did. And that is a huge credit to him, but a zero credit to me because I never had any vision to begin with. And as far as all the success that myself and Nick and the whole company and specifically me have had since then, I had no vision for that either. I had no intent for it. I had no hope for it. I had no dreams about it. When I graduated from my PhD program, my goal was to be a professor, which I did for a long time, up until quite recently. And at the time, those jobs paid $50,000 to $60,000 a year. And I wanted to be a professor and have a few clients that I could coach on the side so that I could make $100,000 a year and have a nice little house and a family. And it was going to be great. And you know what? If that's what happened, it would have been great. Yeah. That's fucking great. It's just straight up awesome. But that was the extent of my vision for myself. Like I've talked to people that I was, they're fairly successful and they're like, I always knew I was destined for this. And I was like, I feel like I never got that memo.
Right, really?
I was just some guy.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
Totally.
And it's also like, seeing people who kind of have like more fame or repute, I never could quite understand what was unique about them or special.
Yeah.
And like obviously elite athletes and elite entertainers, like when Whitney Houston grabs the mic, like you don't have to. Well, what is it about her that makes her famous? You're like, there's no auto.
You hear that song?
Could you imagine if she came up during like today, where you just hear her on YouTube or something? You'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
Nuts.
You get her on some kind of like competition show.
American Idol.
She opens up. Everyone just shits their pants. Like,
starts crying.
Just need a record deal. Like,
Yeah.
breaking down. The famous people that already have great music careers. Like, oh my God, I'm nothing compared to this person.
I'm on the way out.
I never thought it was going to be shit. And I never, it wasn't like a negative thing. We're like, man, I'm not shit.
Right.
I was just like, I'm just me. I don't know. I never was like, oh man, like I didn't even know YouTube was a thing that you could do. And so I never had any Napoleonic plans for anything really. But as soon as we got some success, the question after that was like, okay, what's next?
Yep.
And just little teeny moves from one to the next to the next. So when people ask me, I get the question often of like, how do you like start off on social media? I'm like, fuck if I know, man.
Just gotta start.
Well, yeah. Well, what I did was this was Facebook days. And I would just post random thoughts about training and controversies and diet. And people seemed to think that those were nice to read and they would just like them and share them. And so I got a lot of followers just doing those kinds of posts. And then other forms of social media. Now, once YouTube came along, it's really just the same thing that I've always done. I just do it on YouTube now. People seem to like that. So yeah, no plans, no big dream or no big goals. And still, I was like, I have no idea where YouTube's going.
Yeah.
I have no idea. We're at like roughly 2.5 million subscribers right now. Just crazy to say out loud.
Nuts.
Fucking nuts, bro. We had like an RP. The RP YouTube's been around for a while just to have like training videos, like technique demonstration videos, and a couple of longer form shits we made. And so we started at roughly 45,000 subscribers just because it's over the 7 years that the channel was around. Enough clients clicked on videos that they subscribed. So we started at 45. And I mean, we were on it for years until we broke 500. And then once we broke 500, it was really only about less than a year until we broke 1 million. And then it was only, I think, 6 months until we broke 2. And we're probably going to break 3 in another few months here.
Yeah.
Probably in October.
You hit the tipping point, motherfucker.
I think Chris was
there's a
talking
tipping
about
point.
that
Yeah. Never
on
told
his
me
podcast.
that.
Did you hear that with Chris on his podcast? He was saying basically to get to 50,000, it took forever.
Yes.
Then from 100 to 500 is a quicker.
Yes.
500 and then quicker.
Yes.
So.
Yes. So I don't know if YouTube is just going to top out at around 3 million and we're just going to kind of exist and do our thing. I'd have no problem with that. It's amazing.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
So I don't know where all of this is going. Is it going to stop at 3 million or so and then kind of chill? Is it going to get to 5? Is it going to get to 10? Who the fuck knows? The only thing we do know is that we're really working. And I would say if I have any advice for people that want some semblance of success in their own fields, is try to really observe what's going on and try to thread out common features and try to build a system and then execute on that system, alter that system as you get feedback and continue. The system is everything. It's everything. So at YouTube, we just were for a while releasing videos that I thought were cool things to talk about. And that did very well. And then we eventually started doing analytics. We eventually started thinking a little deeper about things. And now we have systems for thumbnails, systems for titles, systems for editing. The editing process is non-random. We book all of our shit way ahead of time. If I croak, we have at least 6 months of YouTube videos completely uninterrupted. Like
You're getting a 3 for sure.
for sure. Well, the company will. I won't.
Right,
I'm
yeah,
dead on the ground. But, here lies Dr. Mike. He died when his YouTube was XYZ subscribers.
Right. So close.
And every year, some guy etches in the new one.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Sweet.
Sweet.
It goes lower. I come out as a ghost. I'm like, no
more videos.
That's right. But we work on systems and diligence. So Scott, the video guy, he's the guy who runs the YouTube more or less. And he lives about 50 minutes away from us in the Metro Detroit area. And almost every single Tuesday, he shows up in the morning and we work all day just only recording. And then he actually stays in a guest bedroom in our house almost every Tuesday night. I'll get in his bed a little bit. Right?
Yeah, it gets cold up there.
He's a cuddler. It's so good.
Perks of the job.
You can tell he really cares. Someone can grab you, but you're like, I feel like I'm just paying you for this. He just it's the finger pressure. You try to get away, but he like presses just gently enough for you to know that he wants you.
Don't
and that
go.
means the world. But we wake up the next day. That's right, we together in the same bed, and we go again into making more videos. And then Wednesday night he'll leave. And so we record like a day and a half's worth of videos every single week, unless we're traveling, which is almost always also for work. Like this week we're traveling to Austin. We did a bunch of collabs, a bunch of videos. Scott is here with us. And so once the videos are made or recorded, he goes and divvies up to the editing team. They crush it out. And I spend most of the rest of the week doing a few things. One of them is I sit down and I make more outlines, bullet point outlines. I call them scripts, but I almost never just read directly off the teleprompter. And I do that for the next group of videos and the next group of videos, and I stay ahead.
I was just about to ask what your process is for coming up with content.
I can speak to that for sure. But just to finish out this thought really quick, there is a system in place. We run the system. And so there's just not much randomness to what we do. I hate randomness. I really don't like uncertainty. I like it in the sense that it's like a really fun problem to figure out. But now that we figured some stuff out, we just boom, 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 boom. And so, we don't have any idea where this whole thing is going. And if we're going to be much more successful, who knows? And really, that's up to what people want to see. And again, I really have no idea why RP or myself are as appealing as they have been. Like, I've heard a few hypotheses, like a very unique looking face. So like when you see me on a thumbnail, like, the fuck,
it's that guy.
There he is again.
It's like my middle school coach or something. Fucking memories. Back to the psychiatrist. But middle school coaching is like, that's where you really hurt people.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But
you're making an impact for life. That's
some way or another.
We're making an impact.
It'll toughen you up. You'll be tough later when you get over all the shit when you're 58.
That's right.
But I've heard also that like my voice has an ASMR quality to it. People literally told me, they're like, I fall asleep to your lectures. I'm like, motherfucker, my shit's not exciting enough for me to stay awake. But
like in a good way.
In a good way. Yeah. That's what they say. And there's a couple other things, like the jokes seem to be a thing and the education, but I have no idea. Like people will often ask me, especially other creators, they're like, so like when you're watching your own videos, and I'm like, man, I must have seen like 1/10 of all of my own videos. I already know all that shit, man. And I watch my videos sometimes, but I don't even know what fuck I'm supposed to be looking for. Like what? I don't watch fitness YouTube either. I don't watch myself. I watch military strategy YouTube. I watch AI YouTube. I watch a bunch of different other shit.
Killer whales slapping seals around.
It's tough. Those poor goddamn seals.
Launched.
Yeah. So systems are a big deal because my intuition for what people like and don't like isn't that great. But we put out different kinds of content, and then the viewership, just simply by views, tells us like what they seem to like more. And then we lean in marginally to that. But the other thing really quick, because sharing some business practices, is when you find out the thing that works for you big time, don't lean all the way into it. Lean into it more. But keep some diversity and some creativity on the side. So maybe 75% of your content is that shit people seem to fucking love, but 25% of it should be different stuff that you're trying all the time, because you never can tell if you've hit a local maximum or a global maximum. Your local maximum could be XYZ kind of videos or content or posts, but your global could be something you had no idea. Like, I didn't know that me reviewing other people's workout programs and leaning more into like the comedy bullshit was going to be the thing that really took off. Fuck if I knew that was going to be the thing. Like, I think I'm pretty funny, but like not YouTube 2.5 million subs funny.
Yeah.
And so, because everyone thinks they're funny, right? I don't know if other people think. I think I'm fucking hilarious in my own head. But normally, like, I'll joke with Uber drivers and like
not hilarious.
10 minutes away.
Right, yeah, we'll be there soon.
Got any more zingers? Oh, it was really good.
Tough crowd. Like, it's just me. It's just one person. I guess tough crowd was you, sir. I'm just going to shut the fuck up and stay there. So you never can tell, but keep some diversity in there. Don't overlean into the one thing. Like, there's people, no disrespect to these people at all. It's a fine thing. There's people, whose whole identity becomes one name. There's a gentleman who produces phenomenal content, by the way, a gentleman on Instagram who's a super awesome back, and his name is The Back Guy. And then there's like Knees Over Toes guy. And it's like, that's dope, a phenomenal business. These people are unbelievably successful. I would highly recommend you subscribe to them. But at some point, these guys are doing it super well, but if you like really over-index on that, you like the Back Guy is a great YouTube content. He makes all kinds of content. So it's not just Back Guy, but imagine if he made only content about back training.
Yep.
You'd be like,
kind of limits you a little bit.
Super limiting.
You're pigeonholed.
100%. So when you're doing the thing that you're really good at locally, keep some diversity, keep some creativity in the mix. You never know when something else is going to take off.
Coach 'em Up is proud to be sponsored by Plyomat. Plyomat is a jump mat that measures ground contact times, vertical jump height, and reactive strength index.
Plyomat's trusted by over 750 coaches in 25 different countries.
It's something that you can use in training day in and day out to give immediate feedback and drive output and intent.
Plyomat's always in stock. When you order your Plyomat, you can get it within 1 to 3 business days and start your training immediately.
If you get a group of athletes challenging each other to jump higher, get off the ground quicker, it transforms that workout into a highly competitive, highly potent stimulus.
If you would like access to the best jump mat on the planet, use Coach 'em Up 5 to get 5% off at checkout.
Again, code Coach 'em Up 5 for 5% off. Come jump with us, get a Plyomat.
The Coach 'em Up podcast is sponsored by Squat Wedgies. Tim, what are squat wedgies?
Squat wedgies are an adjustable squat wedge, 7, 13, and 20 degrees.
It's big enough to elevate your whole foot and not just your heel.
Because it's rubber, it doesn't slide on surfaces.
It's 22 pounds, so it's durable and stable enough for even your biggest athletes.
There's a 90-day risk-free trial. The shipping is free, and
get 15% off squat wedgies with our discount code CoachEmUp15.
Coach 'em Up 15 for 15% off of the best squat wedge on the planet.
Are there any videos that are really popular for you guys that you just hate making, or ones that aren't really like your favorite, but they perform really well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Some of the workout critiques, I've been a little catty and a little not so nice.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It doesn't feel good coming out of my mouth. And I've had times where I thought, what would it be like to hear that stuff, but you're that guy's trainer? On the one hand, Hollywood trainers and sports trainers, Patrick Mahomes, there's an S in the end.
Yes, you nailed it.
I did a critique of his training, and his trainer had replied on some RP Instagram comments with a great deal of frustration, like, fuck this guy, he's a clown, like, I want a face-to-face debate. And like, everything I said I meant.
Yes.
I absolutely think I have a better comprehensive understanding of physical training of athletes than that guy, but I'm sure he's chock full of fucking wisdom. And I'm sure if I had the full context of his program, a lot of shit I'd still disagree with, but a lot of shit I'd be like, dude, you're doing some real right shit.
Yep.
And while him and I probably disagree considerably on athlete training, I was like clowning the guy, right? Like on TV to millions of people. Dude, if I were him, I'd be sharpening a fucking knife to stab me in the face with.
Right.
Especially your reach compared to his. Totally. The whole, like,
Yeah.
context
And within the context of the performance realm, He has a big respect.
Totally.
Patrick Mahomes coach.
Totally,
you know?
Patrick Mahomes coach.
But you're encompassing a much larger.
Much larger, and I'm talking that fucking shit.
Yep.
And I don't like any part of doing that. And lately, because we record way ahead of time, so most of the videos coming up in the future for us are split into kind of one of two categories. One are like bodybuilders and other fitness people that we review, and we mostly just, if it's something I don't agree with, I go, that's a very interesting way to do things. Let's break it down. For you guys at home, what you might also want to try is, and I tell them the shit that I think is marginally more effective, or just my view of what could be effective. And just total love and respect, super positivity, because it just feels better to do that. And I wouldn't want to be the guy on the other end that's just all negativity, and it's just
I feel
terrible.
like it's easy to do that almost. Like to shred somebody, than to flip it the other way of like,
but
probably doesn't get as many clicks because it's not as controversial.
We found that the positivity actually, so proximately right away, negativity clicks hard.
And people love that.
But over the long term, I think people, if they subscribe to your channel, my hypothesis is that they can only absorb so much negativity
For they're like,
until they just associate your channel with a nasty feeling. You can only be so disagreeable until people are like, ugh. But if you're positive and educational, and I have no limits to self-deprecating humor. I can do that shit all day. I love that shit. Jew jokes, small dick jokes,
We're bald, it's
balding.
easy,
I've never fucking, I don't get laid. I don't even know what getting laid means. Is it that you lay down next to someone? Then what happens? Who knows?
Yeah, only Scott.
Only Scott. It's a spoon thing. That stuff I have a ton of room for, but the negativity stuff, it seems to me to be a little bit more of a dead end. And I just don't feel good doing it. And if I like one of the Hollywood trainers that we dunked on back in the day, if he like caught me in a bathroom, slightly different interaction, he caught me in a convention center, was like, you fucking roasted me on your show. I'd just be like, yo, like just fucking hug. Just like, hey man, like, I'm really sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I meant everything I said. And on a technical level, I do think that there is some insight that you would benefit from.
Right.
But I just don't appreciate the fact that I came at it all fucking nasty.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that done to me. And so that kind of stuff, to answer your question of is there anything that I've been doing or had to do that was meh, that stuff's meh. We're sort of tilting away from that. There's an exception to that rule. Not so much an exception, but a different use case. We're going after charlatans on the channel.
It's literally my next question.
And fuck them, zero respect, because they're snake-eyed sociopaths, and fuck every single one of them. Dr. Gundry, Dr. Axe, Dr. Berg, Dr. Oz. Dr. Gundry and Dr. Oz, we already have video about. Dr. Axe and Dr. Berg, we were well on our way. We're collecting content. So
Did you do one on Liver King yet?
We did Liver King, roast the shit out of him, felt great right after. Smoked a cigarette, it was awesome.
I think that's totally different.
How can you regret that, right? Because like, if someone is like a Hollywood trainer and they're just doing their fucking best, and then some asshole bald dude makes fun of them to 2 million people, it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
But if you're Liver King, you don't really have a soul as far as I can tell, or whatever you had, you traded it away for insanely short-term profit.
Yep.
And you know what I'm saying? You're going to bump up against the wall, and that wall happens to be me.
Dr. Mike.
Right? Big wall. I'm kind of wall-shaped, you know? And so...
Did you say ball or wall?
Both. But it was... So for those guys, I'm totally fine to flip into like, hey... Now, I still do it with a little bit less curtness.
Yep.
But my asshole side comes out much more, and I'm totally cool because these people are either wildly ignorant or acting in total bad faith.
Yeah.
And I'm not into that shit.
Yeah.
And so that I'm totally cool with going. So now we have a bifurcated thing on our Friday Exercise Science show is either learn from people and make some gentle, self-deprecating fun, or lots of fun and plenty of hatred, charlatan assholes, because we forget that we're all fitness industry insiders. We all know a lot of stuff that we just take for granted. And it's like if you're like a software developer and your grandma wants help on her computer, your conversation with her, you're going to be like, oh my God, you don't know anything at all. I thought none of this is complicated, but holy shit. The same is true for the vast majority of people that consume general YouTube content. And when Dr. Axe or Dr. Berg or Dr. whoever the fuck goes on there and says like, this ingredient's bad for you, don't eat it. We're like, there are real human beings in the world that are being lied to.
Yep.
And their lives are becoming more constrained and more complicated and more anxiety inducing because they think there's poison everywhere trying to kill them. And it's
Right.
one
If you don't
food
live
at a
by
time.
these tenets,
Yeah,
You're
going to die.
You're going to die real soon.
Yep.
It's a doctor that said it. And these people, they don't get my respect. They get my animosity. Like if I ever met one of these guys in real life, there's a very good chance I'm not shaking their hand.
Right.
Like I don't get fuck away from me.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not
And
the
they
same
go
as
rip
like
somebody else off.
you know, you run into someone, you bash their training, and it's like for example, Mahomes' trainer, for example, it's like you meet him in person, you're like, I owe you an apology.
I'd actually, at this point, if
Yeah.
I ever met him in person, I'd just give him a first shot punch to my face.
Yeah.
It's just, ah!
We're even.
I had that
But
coming.
the other end of the spectrum, right? It's like you don't
Nah.
feel that way about Liver King. You're just not.
Yeah, I would give them the first shot so I could pop up double leg them in the
Yes,
fucking wall.
excellent.
As doctors, I don't think they're the fighting type, thank God. But it's kind of similar to like there's shit you can do that's all like we just have different opinions and that's dope and we can make fun of each other, but it's all like a mutual baseline level of respect at the bottom end.
Yes.
Like whatever disagreements I had with Patrick Mahomes' coach, he's a human being and I respect the fuck out of that. He's trying his fucking best and I respect the fuck out of that. I may disagree with him on everything he does, but he's trying his goddamn best and God bless him. But like Dr. Oz, somebody like that, Dr. Berg, Dr. all these fucks.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is they're trying to do, but it sure as shit seems like ripping everyone off.
Yeah.
And that's not
beyond
fun.
ignorance.
That's not cool, right? And so it's like if I met like 50 Cent in real life somehow, like I don't know, in an elevator or something, and he'd be like, "Oh, do you listen to my music?" And I'd be 50. I'm gonna cut you the real deal. I'm not a real big fan of your music. Some of the shit is dope. Some of the shit it ain't me.
Yep.
But like. All love and respect, man. Get in here and get the shit, you know, hug it out or whatever. Like, dope, 50, you're a great rapper. Like, I don't listen to you, like Drake. I don't listen to Drake shit. Every Drake song that ever comes on, I'm like, I don't know. I never got the memo. Why is this cool? I'm not like a white bitch putting on her outfit to go to the club. I think that's an international Drake.
That was years ago.
Right?
Ago.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
So-
That's right. That's pre-RP.
Right, exactly. I missed that boat. But I wouldn't like zero animosity to those folks. But like after I saw the video of P. Diddy like kicking his girlfriend in the head
Crazy.
or whatever, like if P. Diddy and I were in an elevator, I'd just be like,
Yeah.
like, P. Diddy, what's to stop me from breaking parts of you that will never heal? Convince me. No, pretend I'm
Ripping
you and
open
I'm your
your rib
girl.
cage with
You're
my
my
bare
girl.
hands.
Yeah.
Right. 100%. I could do it. And, like, I got a lot of belts in jiu-jitsu. And it's one of those things like when you're a certain kind of person, you do certain kind of things, like the love and respect disappears and goes to like, if you want to be like an alligator in the water, like opportunist, predator, sociopath, dope. I love that fucking game. Let's get it. And so, but I don't prefer that mode of interaction.
Sure.
I'd much rather be super respectful, but because we're a big fitness platform on YouTube and because we're super science based, somebody's got to call these people out. I'm just going to let fucking Dr. Berg lie to people all the goddamn time. If anyone wants to Google, go on YouTube, find Dr. Berg, Dr. Axe, all their videos, just look through the thumbnails. I remember there's this one video recently, I forget what ingredient it was, where they were like, this ingredient will kill you. And then like 3 videos later, it was like, are you getting enough of this ingredient?
No
Oh my
way.
God, total just nonsense.
Yeah.
And that is like, it's fucking lame. And someone's got to say something and I can take a few shots to the head. So bring it on.
I want to, just for people at home, because I wanted to discuss the topic of charlatans, and because I've seen that first of all, it's apparent, at least to me, that within the hypertrophy and fitness space, like you have become one of the main authorities in the space. And
Strange to hear.
well, but it's true, and you've done that through consistently putting out high value, high quality content for a long fucking time.
Sure.
So hats off to you.
Thank you so much.
But but the
Why
word
do you have,
charlatan.
hold on. Why do you have a hat on? You're not embracing it like we are?
I'm not there yet. I'm in recession, but I will be there with you fellas soon.
Nah,
and
you got
eventually,
time. You got time.
it'll be 3 shining bald heads in this room, and people will have to dim the lighting in here because the brightness.
I've been trying to work on it.
Yeah.
They won't listen
Please
to me.
keep the red mustache when
Has
you go
to.
bald.
It's still on the
It's
option.
in the
Have you
contract.
considered a skullet?
No. What is a skullet?
Shave. It's like basically what people do that don't shave their heads when this is just gone and you got a mullet out the back.
Oh.
Or the top is balding and the bottom's a fucking ponytail.
Yeah.
That's like some
like a rat
Dungeons and
tail.
Dragons times 10 type of vibe. If I was a girl, those are the only guys I'd be having sex with.
Hell yeah, dude.
I don't even remember what I was talking about.
Charlatans.
Yes, I wanted to give the definition for. So I Chat GPT'd it, and then I went to the actual. So here's what Chat GPT.
It's an example. Dr. Mike Israetel.
Yeah. Damn it, I was going to say that.
Fuck. Someone who pretends to have knowledge or skills they don't actually have, often for the purpose of gaining money, power, or fame. So that's Chat GPT. And then the actual definition: a person falsely claiming to have a special knowledge or skill, semicolon, a fraud. And I think within falling under the context of that definition, it stands to right that there should be a voice of reason in this case, at least proposing an alternative.
Sure.
I mean, at the very least.
Sure.
In some of your critique videos, like particularly in strength and conditioning, I'm interested in, and I enjoy watching those. And as you were speaking, you know, I've seen some, like, for example, Joel Seedman, you eviscerated. I honestly consider him to be one of those charlatans. Like, I have no.
You're not the first.
Yeah, I don't feel sorry for him whatsoever.
No.
It feels like bold-faced lying to me, right?
Yes. Or at worst,
in
mass
fact,
delusion.
So, I mean, so
I don't know which is
delusional,
worse.
dude.
Right.
Yeah.
The lying's probably worse,
Yeah.
but the delusion's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what's interesting about that? The guy's training a lot of pro athletes. Like, people show up and do his training. And I think there's a common misconception, because I work with a ton of NFL guys and pro athletes, and you assume that these people who have made it to these elite levels of performance know training or understand training, or that they're only working with people because they are good at their job. Wrong. Fucking wrong.
Backwards.
And it's one of those lessons I learned early on when I got into the space. I just assumed these people that like I like looked up to or wanted to emulate. I was like, when I get there and I see what they're doing, I'm going to be really impressed. No. I'm not.
No.
I think Joel Seedman is like a shining example of, like, I don't know what quality it is of his that people are drawn to, that people keep coming back to, particularly pro athletes. I think it's a good example of like people who are elite being where they're at in spite of training, not necessarily because of it, right?
I have a suspicion about the Joel Seedman style of training and why people tend to like that.
Please let's hear it.
I'm an athlete myself. I'm just not that good. But,
Ditto.
yeah, right?
Ditto.
So in the context of having tons of sport skills, tactics, strategy, practice, you're very tired. Football practice is not super, super easy, nor is soccer practice, nor is tennis practice. And that's what these guys do the vast majority of their time. And to them, weights is seen culturally in many sports as a thing you do that makes you better. It's like an icing on the cake situation. And the next question after that, because lifting is seen as a placeholder for I have to get it done. Like football coaches would be like, all right, let's wrap up practice. Let's go get a lift in. Let's get our lift done.
Yeah.
Was it practice isn't something you get done. It's something you excel at. It's something you rise to the next level with. It's a very quality oriented thing. Like football practice isn't just going running around, catching the ball a few times, getting a few hits under your belt.
Yeah, it's no fucking
There's a fucking practice. There's a plan. There's a purpose. There's techniques you're not doing right. The coach takes you aside. He's like, here's how we want you to cut. You're cutting. You're putting one leg in front of the other. It's not good. Once you put it to the side, coaches work with you. How many football coaches are there in a pro team? Like fucking 10, 20? Yeah. And they're all there for a real good reason. It's a very detail-oriented process. Whereas with lifting, some of the culture, not all, but some of the guys, to them, lifting is a thing they just have to get through. It's just something you have to get done.
So you check the box.
Like when you go into the club, there's a lot about the club that matters. But when you're showering before you go to the club, you just make sure the water runs over your skin and put some fucking soap on and you're good. It's a check mark, right?
Yeah.
So because lifting is a check mark to a lot of people, just on raw intuition, they're going to fall potentially for two mistakes. One is that the less systemically fatiguing and acutely fatiguing the lifting is, the better they feel about doing it. Two ways. One, it doesn't require as much to get through, which is annoying if you've been fucking trashed through practice. It's just tough to get up for lifting. The other thing is, if it doesn't fuck you up afterwards and make you still more tired, well, a lot of times to them, it's like, thank God it's not fucking me up because now I'm better at football.
I feel better. I feel good.
Totally. And so what ends up happening is a lot of the guys, when they get some lifting in that doesn't fuck them up and doesn't require them to really just gutturally try. Like no football player a lot of football players playing high D1 level or pro level want to put the fucking belt on and get under 500 fucking pounds of barbell squat.
Yeah, it fucking sucks.
It fucking sucks. Now, in a good mentality, it's like, this is what it takes. This is why Friday night, I'm going to break some people into fucking pieces because I did this thing and they didn't. But everyone's already talented. Everyone's already jacked. Everyone's already fast. And now they just don't want to put in the effort, understandably, and they don't want to suffer the fatigue consequences, understandably. And so remember, it's a placeholder for them. So if they show up and it's Joel Seedman taking them through exercises that are intentionally designed to limit force production, you can't take them close to failure because you just fall off the ball or something, then you still feel like you're doing things, but they're not very hard things, and that's okay because you're like, this guy's hacked the system. So part 2 of the appeal is people are looking for unique, clever ways to train.
Yeah, they're hard in a different way.
Yes, hard in a different. It's funny, right? It's a funny way to say it. It's true, but they're hard, unfortunately, in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And so you have this thing where you're like, not only is this a placeholder for me that doesn't fuck me up like conventional resistance training would, but also apparently because it's unstable and it's wacky, it's actually making me an even better athlete. Right. If you drink that Kool-Aid, it sounds like a totally self-supporting system where you're like, dude, ever since I started training with Joel Seedman, my knees don't hurt as much, my back doesn't hurt as much, I'm fresh for practice, and I think there's some kind of science shit because he is a
and
PhD.
It's complex and it's not easy to do.
It's not easy to
therefore
do.
Hard.
It's got stability, therefore it's hard. Therefore it's hard in the right vector that makes me better.
Novel,
right? Something like that, right? It's novel. It's got all kinds of like balance, and it looks more athletic. Like doing a clean pull with 600 pounds. But it doesn't look particularly athletic. You're like, isn't that what they do on World's Strongest Man or something like that? But if you balance like your cock on a Bosu ball, you have a fucking cone in one hand and a fucking kettlebell in the other, it's like, oh man, this is like athlete shit, you know, like that groove, next that level. Balance, that shit, right? And it's unique and it's new and it's different. I'm not going to get good doing the same shit they do in high school and college. I'm going to get good doing that next level shit. A lot of these people be like, look, high school kids just need to do like the big 3, clean pulls, push presses. But me, I'm a pro. I need that next shit.
Yep.
That combination of it's not as hard, truly, and it seems to have some novelty and uniqueness that seems in the ether to be like, oh, this will work. Also, like, there are just no pro football players with a PhD in sport physiology.
Yep.
So how the fuck are they supposed to know whether or not it works? When I get my car breaks and go to the mechanic, you guys, you can tell me anything. I'd be like, yeah, so how much is it going to cost?
Yeah, great. Perfect.
Your carburetor is inside your engine.
Yeah.
Like, that's not good, right?
$10,000.
Oh, is that bad?
Boy, here's $10,000. So, and pro athletes have lots of money. And if someone comes word of mouth referred to them from other pro athletes. A lot of times that's all they need. And then the last thing that is a really big factor is vibe. Like if you're a cool fucking dude and you fucking chill with motherfuckers and you get some jokes going and talk about some, you know, like it's so fucking fun. And then they're like, dude, this guy's my man, Mike. He's the fucking man. And he knows shit. Now, do they really know that I know shit? Like no more than I know they know how to play football. The only reason I think they can play football is because they fucking play for the Lions, right? Yep. Do I know what a real good cut looks like, what a good turnaround? Like, I have no idea. Like, I barely fucking play the game. I played a couple pickup games in fucking wrestling camp or some shit. I don't know anything. And so if you're cool as fuck, if the training doesn't fuck you up really hard, but it gives you the sense that you're doing something unique and valuable and somehow some systems integration, total body neurological alignment, some shit, it's making you a better athlete, you got 3 killer fucking qualities. And then you go on YouTube and you hear me saying like real true strength and conditioning is getting full range of motion, compound lifts, sets of 3 to 6 reps, either heavy as fuck that it's crushing your spine or fast as fuck that barbell's flying out of your fucking hands. And that's how you build fucking speed and strength and hurting power. Nobody wants to hear that shit.
Yeah, that's
what my college coach made me do. Now, did it make me the athlete I am? No, sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
but now that I'm a pro, fuck all that.
Different.
And then different.
Yeah.
And so when people look up to athletes and how to copy them on Instagram, if I'm a high school football player and I want a fucking strength and conditioning program for myself, I'm not really interested in searching high school football strength and conditioning best practice. What the fuck is that even? I want to be a pro. I copy the pros. And the pros are doing wacky shit half the time because they have that constraint of they're already 32 years old. They're already pretty fucked up. And the marginal gains they get out of getting that much stronger are worth it, but they're small. And to them, like, dude, I just have 3 more years in the league.
Yep.
If I just fucking put some goddamn runs on the board, if I don't get fucking hurt, I'm Gucci. I like my coach. He's cool. I feel like we're doing good things together. I'm fucking set. You follow that guy. He's at 3 million followers. He's the fucking man. And you're like, this guy is a guy who's really thought it through. And he hired this coach because this guy's the best. Bullshit. None of that's true.
Yep.
You need to hire a motherfucker like you to like put that goddamn hurting power and fear of God into them. There's 500 pounds in the fucking squat bar. You take that shit and you dunk it for a fucking triple. And I want you to pause it at the bottom and rock it up as fast as you can every single time. Nobody wants to do that shit. Fuck. I don't even want to warm up for that shit. Yeah. But that's what makes a fucking difference. I mean, if you think about how to make better football players, you just like think about who the best football players are. The answer is Samoans. And just how do I make someone more Samoan? You've been around real Samoans before. They're just bigger, they're faster, and they're so fucking strong it doesn't make any sense.
It's absurd.
There's stories of Samoans who never lifted weights coming to D1 college ball for the first time and benching 365 for 20. What? So like, if you want to be more Samoan, you better put some goddamn weight on that fucking barbell. And how are you going to do that? Like, I've interacted with Samoan dudes. Their hands are a different size than other people's. Their wrists are 1.5 times bigger. I don't want to see that guy ahead of me in a fucking line. He's going to eat me or something. He's going to run right through me. How do you level up to that level? There's no replacement for fucking just raw strength and speed and violence. See a good football player bench 225 and they go, and it just moves in a way. They're like, how are you moving that fast? There are no kettlebells. No offense. Kettlebells have their place. There's no banded this and that. There's no Bosu standing on one leg that's going to make you that fucking violent. And if you grapple, especially, or fight MMA, it becomes instantly apparent to you what real strength feels like. Yeah. There's a reason why there's a fucking former D1 275 pound D lineman comes in for his first day of jiu-jitsu. Nobody wants to roll with that guy. No. Yes. Fuck that guy. Yeah. What does he have? Is it like an extra sense of balance? I don't know. The surfers and skaters in jiu-jitsu that weigh 150, they have better balance than that guy. Is it slickness? Is it finesse? He's pretty good for his size. Nothing to write home about. Hurting power. And in strength and conditioning, you're either conditioning someone, which in football, the conditioning requirements are quite minimal, strength and power. And that means you either lift fucking heavy or you lift lighter weights fast. And it's not sexy and it's fucking difficult. And it has a distinct, though small, risk of injury in the gym. And like, you know, like when you're a race car driver and you're doing training laps, you're doing them at speed. You could fucking die and there's not even a crowd to watch you. You're not gonna be like, oh, until the crowd comes, I'm just going like half speed. Nobody does that. Yeah. And so the same mentality should be applied to sport training and football, et cetera, where you're in there to challenge your body to ascend to that next level, to be more fucking bigger, stronger, faster, and just hardy as fuck. And everyone can build that with heavy fucking weights through huge ranges of motion in very uncomfortable positions. It's a shit selling point because you'll go to a strength and conditioning coach that does it the right way and someone's going to be like, how'd it feel? You're like, dude.
Heavy.
Fuck. Yeah. Like, are you excited to go again? Like, not really. But if you buy in, you understand, like, I'm doing the hard shit here. You get on the fucking football field, line up against other dudes you know don't train like that. Fuck these pussies. I'm going to run right through that guy because he doesn't weigh 500 pounds and I've run through 500 before.
Well, and the stuff that works, like there's not a lot of variety. There's probably like 10 to 20 exercises you pick and you just hammer those over and over. And we get those questions with our like online programs. It's like the same exercises we did on Monday is the same as this Monday is the same as next Monday. And you're like, yeah, you need to get better at those same.
I got a fucking rant about that.
Let's go. Because I was going to, you go first.
Let's hear it.
Are you bored or some shit? Are you training for the circus? You got other shit going on in your life that's super fun. You got to get to that shit. Fuck you. Fuck you. We're here precisely because you're soft. Too fucking soft. And we're going to give you hard shit over and over and over until you get excited about it, but then you feel like quitting and then you get excited about it again and you feel like, fuck this, I'm done with football. And then you just buy in and grit your teeth and just do that shit. Can you imagine in a fucking Navy SEAL fucking training camp being like, hey coach, are we doing something like, or officer, whatever, are we doing something?
Push-ups again?
Again? Yeah. We're swimming 8 miles with no mask again? Like, motherfucker, do you know what combat is like? Like day 3 of no extraction from the helicopter, you're down to 1 MRE and a half a bottle of water, and you're like, these guys are shooting at us again. That's why you're here. So like the idea that strength and conditioning and can you imagine telling your football coach that? He's like, all right, we're going to run this route. You're like, again? Yes, pussy. That's what fucking 49ers are going to do to us. We're training every day this week, that same fucking route, motherfucker, because you got to learn that shit. There's a hardness. There's a difficulty to repetition and consistency. It overwhelms you. It's like a wave of black sludge that hits you. You're drowning in it. Good. You're supposed to be drowning in it. It's supposed to fucking suck. You're supposed to grit your teeth and just make it through. And then the next time, you don't just make it through. You push a little bit harder and you set a mini fucking PR. In the face of extreme difficulty and monotony and boredom, you eat all of that shit. If you want to fucking walk that walk and talk that talk, people assume that you're tough. Prove it. Prove it. Don't you dare email me about, oh, is this Monday the same as next Monday? Yes, forever Mondays. We're going to be here in the hyperbolic fucking time chamber of DBZ. We're going nowhere. It's Monday every fucking day. It is the same shit every day except 2.5 pounds heavier. Every day. Now, it's going to be more variety than that, but you shouldn't even be looking for variety. Do not look for, here's athletes paying attention. Do not look for a way out. Lock the fucking door. Tear the fucking lock off the weight room. Just stand there forever. Because when somebody busts the door down and invites you to a football game, you're going to be like, you're not even going to speak human language anymore. You've forgotten the rules of football. The fucking the ball gets hiked. You just run up to the D line. You take his head like lollipop style. Just pop it off his body. They're like, oh, that's good enough. Legal play. You want to develop hardness. Because the game of American football, other people are going to try to take that victory away from you. So if your first question is, man, are we really doing the same thing? Yes, pussy. Yes, motherfucker, we're doing the same shit. And it's going to be harder and harder and harder and harder until you almost fucking break. And then we give you a break. And then when you heal, we go that same shit again, wave after wave after wave. Then you're going to be fucking real difficult to deal with. We're not trying to coddle you. And no, we're not here to have a good time. We're here to do fucking work. And a lot of football players have a lot of respect. They say, 1, 2, 3, hard work. They'll do that shit. Good. Bring that attitude into the weight room. It is not a fucking break. You're not here to be entertained. And it's like, the ultimate death knell of a diet client when you're interacting with him at first to set them up with a plan. You might as well ring the bell. Like fucking the boxing match is over when they go, so like, when do I get a cheat meal? Get the fuck out of my sight.
We're done here.
You about 300 cheat meals deep as far as I can tell from your physique.
You have plenty in the bank
fewer
right
cheat
now.
meals. And so that's kind of the thought process I have behind it. Is like, we're here, to quote Kyriakos Grizzly, the ultimate strength and conditioning expert, we're here for the difficult.
Yes.
There will be more difficult things ahead, period.
I can tell you have a real passion for that. When you were in your master's and doctorate, did you coach at all? Any of that? So I would yell these things at people in the real world, but it's easy with athletes because, like, man, I can get under an athlete's skin real fucking easy, dude. I have all the fucking sarcasm going. I got the fucking reverse psychology. Like, they'd be like, man, I don't know about the deadlifts today, coach. I'm like, sure. Fucking East Carolina's coming next week. They're going to take it easy on you, man. We're good. We don't even have to train today. And they're like, for real? I'm like, yeah, you can just get the fuck out of here. No worries, man. You're good enough, all right? You're good. We're going to win for sure, right? You don't need to get stronger. Fine.
Man, fuck you, coach.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And then afterwards, they're always like, hey, man, thank you so much for fucking getting after it. And like, we don't always want to do the hard shit. So it's good you have a good coach around to fucking dig into you a little bit and be like, look, like, there's a combination of gentle love and of tough love that you can integrate to get someone at their highest level of performance. That's a big part of coaching is the psychology, but underlying that psychology, I was like, so what is it I'm trying to communicate to athletes? We have a mission to do difficult things well. And whatever the fuck you have to do, is it metal? Is it gangster rap? Is it me calling you a pussy? Is it me saying encouraging things like you're strong, I believe in you? Whatever that answer is, the baseline thing we have to do is get you to do difficult things harder than you've ever done them properly. Nobody wants that fucking shit. But if you think about it as an athlete, that's really where the fucking good shit happens. Training's supposed to be hard. We're not here to take it fucking easy. Why the hell do you think you have a coach if you're going to take it easy?
I think people get it twisted because it is supposed to be hard. Like, I think the unpopular stuff of like how the Stones did all the research and trained their athletes was like hard as shit all the time. And people don't want to hear that. It's so easy that it's hard. You know what I mean?
And some athletes are culturally take to it better than others. you coach wrestlers, you can cut yourself off halfway through that speech, and they're like, just kill me. And
Yeah.
like, well, actually, don't do 5 sets. We're going to do 4 sets.
Right, we're gonna reel it in.
I feel like doing 5. You're like, easy, buddy.
Yeah.
Recovery's still a concept. Don't you dare come to the gym after. Like, I've known wrestlers, like, will do strength conditioning, and you'll see them later at the student rec center fucking dumbbell pressing.
Doing extra shit.
The fuck out of here.
Yep. Yeah.
Go home and lay down. They're like, I don't want to. Like,
Yeah.
it's a good attitude. So there's a balance there. So as a coach, you end up having to be the athletes that don't want to work as hard. You got to get under their skin, get some motivation going so that they do the thing they have to do. And then for the guys that are trying to overwork all the goddamn time, you got to reel them back and give them the talk of like, we stimulate and then we recover and we adapt. You actually get better when you're playing PlayStation with your friends at 9 p.m. on a Friday. You don't get better in the gym. The gym sets up the getting better. The getting better happens when you're eating fucking Cheetos and you're fucking playing PlayStation. So go do more of that. There's a balancing act that has to happen. But in the gym, it sure is... it's more fun and more soul filling as a good strength and conditioning coach to work with athletes that really want to be there. They
Totally.
really want, gymnasts, you're like, dude, these people are going to break in half. I'm going to fucking easy. But some other athletes, you know, man, they're just not about that shit. And it can be frustrating. But something, so I suppose a little pep talk to strength and conditioning coaches, you have to apply that same mentality of we're here to do the hard technical things well to yourself.
Totally.
I've heard a lot of strength and conditioning coaches bitch about how their athletes don't want to do it. Guess what, pussy? Why do you think you have a job? Because some people don't want to do this shit. Your job is to convince them to do it and to convince them to do it well. So don't you fucking bitch about the football players who are lazy. Get under their skin and fucking make them work.
It's your fault.
It's you. Yeah, like it's your fault.
It's your fault.
It's your fault, and it's your opportunity to make them better.
Yep.
And if they all arrived as super technically adept work machines that already knew the plan, the coach could just be like, fellas, go do your gym lifts, do them by yourself.
Yeah.
I'm a jiu-jitsu
They would
athlete.
just have
I'm a
the RP
bodybuilder.
app and-
Yeah, that's
right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a coach yelling at Jared Feather's my bodybuilding coach, but he just like tells me how to peak for my drugs and diet. He doesn't like sit there
Mike, you're gonna
while
have to
I'm
train hard
training.
today.
Right. Like there's never a conversation because I'm good on that front.
Right.
So strength and conditioning would be a much smaller profession if people were psychologically 100% in. So a big part of the profession is the psychology, which comes back to our earlier discussion of how do these guys get to the top rung of the strength and conditioning ladder in the private space by being total charlatans? Well, they have some kind of psychological connection. And the guys that they're training, they're having a good time doing it. There's a vibe there. And every Tuesday, whatever, Friday that I see Joel Seedman, he's my fucking boy. And he's got all the exercises set up. I feel good about doing them. I feel like I get a bit of a sense of accomplishment, which I think is also super important.
It is.
Also, there's a yin and a yang there with athletes. I think some guys take that coaching hardness a little too far. And after they accomplish the task, like fucking gnarly set of 5x5 in the squat, the guy hit the shower is like, yo, connect with your athletes. They're human. You got to be
Like,
like,
you can't
hey,
do that
Frank, you fucking did it today, bro.
Yeah.
And some people, like, they're kind of reticent to accepting praise. And so you got to be like, I'm no bullshit. You fucking did it today. You got after it. And like, oh, stop, coach. Like, no, seriously, you should fucking feel good about yourself. And they're in the shower fucking washing up and they're like, fuck yeah. And then
was
the
right.
next Monday they come in, they want that shit. So not only do you have to push your athletes, but you have to, when they're not doing what they're supposed to be, you got to be like, look, I still love you as a human, but that was the fucking lamest workout anyone's ever done. My grandma's been dead for 8 years. She's done that workout better than you. She just did it. The ghost zombie grandma's out there repping 315. But when they do a great job or just a better job than you used to seeing for them, it's a real good idea to lather them with like, you're fucking doing the thing. And it settles in after a while. And so you're the person to them that they kind of sort of fear low key. They're like, fuck, coach is going to hurt me. But they also know that when they do a good job, they get mega deep respect from you. And because we're all fans of sport, you'd never be a strength and conditioning coach unless you liked the idea of an athlete. And when they rise up to that kind of Athenian ideal of a true athlete, you got to be like, yo, today's practice, like I used to coach volleyball and I was like, ladies, today you drew that fucking sword. And they were like, yay.
Hell yeah.
Coaching women is hilarious and awesome. But
They're the best.
But at the same time, that aggression isn't just there. You got a football player wrapping his straps for a fucking clean pull, and you're like, you're a bitch. And he's like, what the fuck? And he just goes. So you got to communicate. You got to meet people where they're at. But females are much more compliant. You have to dig in for that aggression for them. And you have to find some females do the deprecation thing is good for them. You'd be like, dude, Francine, this ain't it. And she's like, okay, got it. And she'll do it right. But some other people like Jessica, you are a fucking warrior goddess and you're going to do the shit today. It's the positive shit. Tells them they're confident, strong, and able. You got to find it. Every athlete is different. And on some different days, athletes need to hear different shit. So that psychological part is what some of those charlatan coaches, they do that real well. And but the exercise programming sucks. Totally. But that exercise programming is just one part of coaching. The other part of coaching is that psych shit.
It's so true. That's been my experience too. And I think you encapsulated it, frankly, perfectly. And only someone, well, I say that because like, that's been my exact experience. And I know that you don't get a point of view like that without also it being from experience.
You would never have guessed this was the point of view.
And like, I think it is shocking because it was shocking to me arriving in, you know, private sector and working with high level athletes that, you know, so much of it is about the vibe and just the environment. Yep. And that's my boy. And, you know, I'm fortunate now where it's like, I've been able to create a culture here at Collective where it's like, I get along with most people, dude. Like I'm an easy hang.
Easy guy to get along with, yeah.
Thank you. And so like I've always had that inherent, but then also like creating a culture where it's like, I want the guys who want to come in here and fucking power clean.
Yes.
And we're going to squat low. And I'm going to load up the hack squat, actually.
Yes.
And we're going to get deep.
They're looking at it. They're like, God damn it, I hate this shit.
Yeah. There's nothing better
for it.
Putting a D lineman on that pendulum squat down there. And let's just see how this goes, you know?
Sure.
But man, that's taken time.
Yeah.
Because there are athletes, like you said, and it's more than what people just assume that like, because they're high level athletes that they like working out. And that's not the fucking truth at all, dude. Some people just don't like that shit.
It ranges from, you'll have athletes at a high level that live for the shit. They love working out.
Yep.
It ranges all the way to they love practicing their sport, but they don't like working out outside of their sport. All the way to they don't like to practice their sport. It's just the coaches say you can't play if you don't practice. So
you got to run the route.
All the way to guys that so that they don't like practice, but they love the game. They love fucking showing out and competing. And you got guys, I've met plenty of guys, they don't even like the game.
So true.
God just zapped them with that lightning in mama's stomach and they just have that shit.
Well, we see that a lot with like basketball players. Like if you're 7 feet tall.
It's true.
Yeah. Your odds of going to the NBA are like 1 in 7. So if you're super tall, they're probably going to make you play basketball, even if you don't like it. But if I'm a 5'10" point guard, I probably have to love basketball, love the process, all that kind of thing.
100%. So it ranges the gamut. All of those guys will come to you in strength and conditioning. You have to meet them where they're at. And you can't assume everyone loves the shit. Now, if you got guys that love the shit, your number one job is keeping the shit technical and keeping it restrained. Like they're going to be like, how much more weight do I need to do today? Like, be easy, bro. Just 5 more pounds than last week. Stay calm. All the way to like, you got to do this. And they're like, like, all right, fine. Like, you just won't go all pro this year.
It's your career,
sweet.
Cool, man.
This is the end, man.
You must not want that check.
One of my lines is, it's been a good run. And they're like, oh, God damn it.
It's been a good run.
Let's shut it down.
That's great.
You have a lot of trophies. You're good, man.
You'll be all right.
But with, you know, so it's really about meeting athletes where they're at and getting to them as humans and agreeing to do a certain thing together. That's another big thing that strength and conditioning. We're on a same team, bro.
Yeah, man.
I'm on your team. I'm not some coach that yells at you, tells you to do things you don't like. Approximately, that's the case. But ultimately, we are on the same fucking team. I'm on your side, homie. Yep. If I was against you, I would have you lift. I would have you do Joel Sequin's workout.
Hell yeah.
So you feel like
I don't
you
know.
did
Do
some
whatever
shit,
the fuck you
like,
want. Let's kick it.
The guy's getting worse every year. I love it. I'm here to fuck him up. Like, you know, we won't train in any way that hardens up your knees or your hips so that someone on the football field is going to break you into pieces. It's going to be easy for you, but that would be me fucking really Machiavellian style fucking you over. But because we're on the same team, I have to make it hard on you. And if you have that talk with athletes at a real low key, like man to man, man to woman level, the worst case you'll get out of them is like a nod. They're like,
understood.
Got it.
Do it to me.
I guess let's do this. Yep.
Or the best case is like, they start breathing fire and like, taking barbells and bending them, and you're like, that's going to cost you $900.
Yeah. That
You have a lot of money.
I know you can afford it, but like,
I don't even know why you did that.
Very impressive, but I need a new bar.
Save that energy for the squats. Yeah.
You just look at their program, you subtract a set of bench because you're like, got some pecs in there.
Hell
Now unbend it, put 300 pounds on it, and start benching it. Hell yeah.
I just got my new watch from Amazfit. It's called the T-Rex 3. And this is the best watch I've ever had in my life.
This is $1,000 watch. Getting it $279, which is ridiculous.
Which is absurd. It just looks good, dude. Military grade stainless steel, AI voice control, water resistant up to 100 meters. It tracks your heart rate. It has maps.
Battery life, dude. Once every 27 days.
Yep.
That's incredible.
The selection that I have for my watch faces, my heart rate, how many steps I've taken.
The UV index.
UV index is important for your boy. I use my watch as a stopwatch all the time. As if all that wasn't good enough, you get a discount because you're listening and watching us. 15%, dude. Amazfit.com/coachemup, or you can click the link below. 15% off. The best watch on the planet. Now, back to the episode. What are some lessons that, as you've been doing this critique series and as you've watched strength and conditioning evolve or devolve, depending on how you look at it, what are some lessons that they can that strength and conditioning can learn from bodybuilding or powerlifting? And where do you feel like it would benefit from those things?
Interesting question. One is good technique.
Yeah.
Because good technique is the foundation of making sure the movement is affecting you in the way that you want. If you squat lots, but you let your hips sag back really far and you do the good morning squat, you'll be able to squat a lot. But we squat in order to enhance the musculature that produces vertical forces so that you can cut faster, run faster, get hurt less, hit people harder. And so good technique means you keep a very upright posture, weightlifting style, high bar squat. That allows you to develop the musculature and the coordination of the nervous system that lets you maximum vertical force development. So that's a big deal. You're not there to just go through the motions. A lot of time, football coaches, football strength and conditioning coaches have a real tough task, especially at the high school and low collegiate level. There's 2 coaches and 35 fucking kids.
Yep.
Fuck if I know if, these guys are doing it right or whoever. And so inculcating a culture of good technique is a real good idea. In powerlifting, if you're on a powerlifting team or you're training in a gym with a lot of powerlifters and you do like a squat or deadlift or bench that looks like shit technique, everyone will let you know about it. Maybe explicitly like, dude, what the fuck was that?
That was dog shit. Right, yeah.
Zero.
No lift.
Zero reps. You're so far at 0. Or they'll just kind of like side eye you and you're like, nah, that wasn't it. So you want to build that into your strength and conditioning practice. When I was coaching a few teams at ETSU, we really try to inculcate that. And then the girls would start to correct each other. And then it got really awkward because there was other strength and conditioning coaches that weren't part of our program. They weren't science-based, really good folks, but this didn't know as much about this kind of shit. They would coach their athletes on the other side of the gym. And like some of our volleyball girls, God bless them, they're just real confident girls. They don't super have a filter.
You help correct the other team.
Yeah, because when you're 5'11" and you're like fucking... you're that girl, you've said shit your whole life and other people just deal with it. And they're like, are they doing that wrong? Chelsea, shut the fuck up.
Down, Chelsea.
They look over, you're like,
yeah. Well, that's how you know you're doing something right with your team when you have like upperclassmen coaching the freshmen.
Yes.
Or they can pick out like, that's not what we're looking for with that movement.
Yes. I would actually stop lifting because one girl was about to go and do push presses. And she was so violent at them that I just had to have everyone watch to set the standard.
Everybody, look at this.
I was like, check out what Megan's doing. And Megan's like, are you serious? And do the thing you normally do. And she's like, that's how it should look. Like it was a push press. It was not like a push jerk. But her heels would leave the ground at the top because she put so much impulse into the barbell, it would pull her up.
Fuck yes.
Like a pull-up combo.
Yeah.
I was like, that's the shit we need. And when she hit the volleyball, normally it would be like a slap sound. It was like a boom, like a sonic boom. I've seen her hit girls in the face that bounce off their face.
Concussion protocol.
Like hurt people with the volleyball. It was dope. She ended up going pro, no surprise. But like that is the kind of culture you want to inculcate. You don't necessarily want to single people out. Now, I would never single anyone out for doing it bad in a million years.
Shot.
Yeah.
You're fucking kidding me? Like, everyone, look at Stacy.
Everyone come surround. Yeah.
Don't be like Stacy. She's like, Jesus. Like for those, you go and you work with them solo. Everyone's doing a good job. You're like, okay, let's see if we can sink the hips down a little bit more than back. It's like in real life, I'm a very gentle coach, tons of positive reinforcement. We're on the same team. I'm not trying to be a dick.
Right.
So like, I'm just not a dick in real life. I can't put that hat on too many times until it feels fucking awkward. So that global emphasis on technique. Another thing that I think we could borrow from bodybuilders and powerlifters is an emphasis on steady progression, not so much steady, just small progressions. Like we're not trying to come in and squat 3 plates one day and then feel good and squat 4 plates. What the fuck kind of nonsense is that? It's 3 plates and then it's 3 plates with 2.5s on a side and then it's 3 plates with 5s on a side. And we get a huge game against a big school. It's 2 plates for sets of 3. And then we come back and you're at 3 plates and a 10 on each side, but for doubles instead of triples. And then we start the progression over and then we go to triples and then we go to sets of 4 and then we start putting the weight back on. Those small progressions are so goddamn thankless, you know? It's not sexy. Like I've literally had people lifting weights like 500 pounds on deadlift, 5 plates with 2.5s. And I've had people be like, what are the 2.5s for? I'm like, well, you see the rate at which you get strong isn't by plates, you dumb motherfucker. It's by 2.5s. Sorry. If I got strong by a plate, I'd be DBZ fucking melting gravity around me. That'd be sweet. This is not how
awesome.
we're exponential strength gains. Yeah. 100 pounds, 1,000 pounds, 10,000 pounds. You can't lift anymore because the earth's surface is too soft for you to put your feet in. Have to lift on the moon. That would be dope. But so like that, reverence for small progressions over a long time scale, steady patience. There was you guys remember the 300 movie? Which I usually just put on mute and just get the fucking move out. Because goddamn, boys will be boys. Am I right? All those abs. I just want to be around the 300 on my knees, of course, and just like this. But outside of that, and the abs were fake. I was so upset. There's that one thing they're describing when he does the hagogi or the agogi when they take your 6-year-old ass and they kick you out of home. You got to go fucking fight a super wolf. Do you guys remember the super wolf scene?
Wolf was
that, bro. I have
menacing.
Studied a lot of taxonomy. I don't know what the fuck genus and species is that. He's like as tall as an elephant, but like weighs 800 pounds and his waist is this big. Bodybuilder wolf.
Ronnie Coleman.
Ronnie Coleman wolf.
Nobody want to lift no heavy
That's right.
weight.
Like, you alone out here, you little bitch. You gonna get it. Like, was that wolf from Louisiana? But the wolf narration was dope because one of the things that was said was the wolf was patient. And that scared the fuck out of me. You expect a predator to be rabid and stupid and you shake a piece of meat and he just runs for it. But he was like, he set up that trap for the wolf and the wolf's like, and he'll start walking around it. You're like, oh boy. You guys remember Predator, the original one with Arnold?
Yes.
We set the trap for him. Predator looks at the trap and he starts walking around like, oh shit. But like, that is an awesome cultural thing to inculcate in athletes. We here putting 2.5s on the bar. We're not falling for that bullshit of putting 25s on that motherfucker every time because we're patient. And that's scary. You tell me my next competitor in jiu-jitsu is patient and he trusts the process and he's been in the fucking forge just hammering shit. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's not good. We're like, this guy, he's boisterous, he's loud, but like, I don't know, man, I could break him down with enough single leg attempts and reshot. You can just crush someone's psychology. But if someone's patient, that's no good. So inculcating that culture in the team of like, we're here for the long view. So let's put that work in and just get a little better, a little better, a little better. If everyone on the team starts to believe that, all of a sudden you got a fucking team of killers. And the last thing, mostly from bodybuilding that I think is good to take away is the fact that your commitment to your sport does not end when you leave practice. It's a 365, 24/7 situation. Now, I don't mean to make people neurotic and OCD, but like, make sure you're getting some good meals in. Make sure you take care of your sleep. Make sure you only fight with your girlfriend like a certain prescribed amount of time.
Not more than
you know what, Lindsay? Nope. And I got to go eat a meal.
Yeah, that's right.
Go have a nap. Sorry. I still hate you. You still ruin my life. Let's talk about this in 5 hours. You can even yell at me while I eat. It's totally cool. So that idea that you want to take care of yourself outside of practice, so many athletes practice hard. They'll play hard. And then on the weekends, I mean, like if they eat something made of protein, you're like, oh, wow, they're really doing well for themselves. If they're not at the club 24/7, you're like, victory, baby.
Yes.
Finally passed out in the fucking bleachers and we got him to sleep for 2 hours.
Perfect.
We've had athletes show up football practice and it's 2 p.m. and we're like, what have you eaten? And they're like, I haven't eaten anything yet.
Yeah.
It's like,
oh like
my
Casamigos.
God.
Yeah.
Fucking
So your Monday
hell.
lifts are always the worst.
Guys come in zombies,
Yeah.
fucking red eyes.
Yeah.
And you're like, I know the weekend doesn't inherently give you red eyes.
right.
When did you go to sleep last night? And they're like, okay, you haven't gone to sleep yet. I got it.
Amazing.
That kind of thing that you don't want to, that is where big balancing act comes in, because inculcating the culture of good technique, it's really indexed towards like 98% emphasis on good technique. Steady progression and patience, almost 100%. The sport as lifestyle depends on the situation. In season, fellas, ladies, let's lock it down. When we lose the last game of our season and don't make it to the playoffs, and I see any of you fucking pussies crying on the fucking bleachers, I'm throwing chairs. How dare you cry? Here's who's allowed to cry. People that bled for the shit. People that did the shit 24/7. I'll cry with you. But if you weren't showing up to practice, if you didn't eat the right foods, if you didn't get enough sleep because you was out clubbing, and you're going to cry in front, what you crying for? Are you crying because we don't have a time machine for your bitch has to go fix the shit you got wrong?
Right.
They want to redo.
They want to redo. Don't you fucking ask for a redo? But the people that like put it all in, they get to cry. It's a fucking tragedy. I get it. Low key tragedy. You're still
Right.
insanely
Well,
attractive
relative,
and wealthy and on your way to great things. Fine. But you know, like, you don't want to make people totally fucking psychotic about the shit. And in the off season, like I would tell, I don't know how appreciated this was by other staff and people around me, but I was like, when I would like, sign off the fucking girls to go to their summer, I was like, look, is dope, or like Christmas holiday. I'd be like, look, you can enjoy your holidays. Clam baking in the car with your high school friends is dope. The other coach is tacitly encouraging marijuana use, but they're gonna do it. But make sure you get a burrito with some meat in it when you fucking get the munchies. That's all I want.
Double it up if
That's
you can.
That 50%
yes.
commitment. Exactly. But 50% consistency goes a fucking long way. And a big mental note for folks to keep in mind listening to this, like a success hack, is think about when you're grading, when you're receiving grades in class, the difference between getting a D, let's call it a 65%, and a did not submit the assignment to 0%. If you're getting tons of A's and B's and a couple 65s hit, no, don't worry, you got a B+.
Yeah.
If a couple zeros hit, man, you're getting a D-. You might not even pass the fucking class.
Yep.
And so as an athlete, no, you don't have to fucking count macros all the fucking time. Yeah, if the shit's getting serious and we're in season, you got to kind of machine mentality a little bit. But when you're off season, just get some decent fucking food and you get some fucking protein and carbs in the shit. Get some fucking sleep. Don't stress too much. Just get a fucking C, bro. C's get degrees. If you can get C's in the off season and you're on my team, we win in everything. Don't get zeros. Try not to get zeros.
Like just try and
just fucking try.
A little bit.
Well, it's like two things. It tells the teacher if you don't turn something in, you just don't give a shit. And then it tells your teammates, coaches, everything. Like if you're not doing that little stuff off the court, like you don't really care. And to your point, like you don't deserve to get to cry at the end of the year.
100%.
Yeah.
Guys, we're running up on time. So we're
segments?
Yeah, Mike, we've got some segments, dude.
Oh, fuck. Nobody told me about this. My agent didn't tell me about this. I'm
wasn't
done. I'm out.
approved.
I'm important.
This is your Dana White moment.
All right, fuck out of here.
I'm fucking leaving.
I don't even have headphones to toss off. What kind of low budget podcast is this?
I feel like if you took this camera out with one solid swoop of the electrolyte drink, it would be pretty elite.
I'm Jewish. I cannot hit a target like that. That's real far away. I'd be like one of the greatest Jewish athletes of all time. Ever since Amit Elor won the Olympics in wrestling, and I can't say anything more about Jews being bad at sports. It's just I'm bad at sports.
That's why you coach. That's why we coach too.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like to lie to my athletes. I was the fucking best. I'm like, best at what? I'm like, don't you worry about it.
Don't even look it up.
Just trust me, dude.
Don't look it up for sure. Please don't look it up.
Yeah, pick it up, put it down.
I was the best athlete in like the CIA secret superhero athlete development program. Yeah, that's what it was. Do your set of fives.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
All right, first segment. This is 3 things brought to you by Squat Wedgies.
Did you say wedgies?
Squat wedge. It's a squat wedge
Wedges.
yeah, it's Well, the name is Wedgies, but it is a squat wedge.
I love it. That's awesome.
Segment's called 3 things, and I guess what would be the most useful way to articulate this segment would be give people 3 pieces of advice or 3 things that they can do to get where you're at today? If you can condense it to 3.
Wear a condom. Is that 3? Is that 1?
Yeah, I guess it's 3 words.
This guy sucks. To get where I am today, be pathetic. Cry a lot. 3 things to get, like, successful or whatever, right? Okay, sweet. Me patting myself on the back.
Yeah.
Look, big dick, right? Like, no, Mike, that's not where you are today. 3 things. These are tough.
Yeah, it's hard.
You're not looking for work to bring you quick solutions and to liberate you for having to do lots of work. You want work to be like this never-ending thing that you keep doing, that you buy into so hard that you just want to stay and do work. And if you improve yourself for long enough, you're going to get some fucking recognition one way or another. You're going to have to be successful one way or another. You just know enough shit. And so I would recommend an attitude towards work and all the stuff we have to do to make ourselves better, not of how much of this do I have to do to get to my goal, but of like, I just want to be here. Like, can you imagine a surfer, like bringing his board out at like 6 a.m. Hawaii and be like, all right, 20 waves. Here I go. What? They want to be out there for infinity time. They don't want to leave. Mm-hmm. If you inculcate that attitude in yourself of like, I'm here for the work itself, you're going places because you're just going to get so goddamn good. It's like if you have 2 wrestlers, one does enough drilling to get good. The other one just like in the shower, they're fucking taking singles out the whole time, like always thinking that one guy is going to the fucking Olympics because he wants to be there. The other thing, so that's 1 for success. 2 is try to keep an open mind and always be learning. Now, that doesn't mean always second guess your own shit. You know what you know, and that's great, and build on that. But always keep an open mind to ask yourself, could I modify what I do later to integrate this new knowledge? A lot of people hear new stuff and they're like, no, I already know what I know, man. Goddamn kids.
It's worked this far.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Like there's one gentleman that likes to comment on my Instagram often, no matter what I post, really. And he's like, all the bodybuilders already knew this in 1990. You know, I just want to be like, sorry, I think you need a psychiatrist, to be completely honest. Yeah. But he does have a great point that like a lot of shit we already knew by then, but not all of it. And there's absolutely new nuances we learn all the time that, you know, make us better. So always stay open-minded. And the other thing with success is, yes, it's about the grind. Yes, it's about learning. Yes, it's about working hard. But human beings, actually, I take that back. All physical systems have breaking points, and all physical systems need recuperation and regeneration. And so recovery is huge, not just physical recovery, but mental recovery. So my like real dog shit advice for people who want success is, you know, work at your craft until you're really tired, and then take a nice big break until you feel great again. And then work at your craft until you're really tired and come back. Some people will do that, like, and there's time and a place for this, that David Goggins shit where you just like no stop.
Grind all the time.
Grind all the
soft
time.
if you can.
Totally.
Yeah.
And like, that's dope. And you need to hear that shit on the days you don't want to do this shit, but you know you have to. Mm-hmm. But there's a balancing act with recovery and rest. And so you want to push to the point of discomfort in most endeavors. Like it's probably good when you do your work at home, like during a work day, let's say you're making content for social media. When you write up a script for that next post, write another script. At the end of that one, you're like, oh, I can't wait for this to be over. Definitely. Occasionally, at least push yourself. That's how you make yourself more competent. But don't spend 8 more hours. Like I was recording lectures a summer ago for a thing we're doing at RP, and I was so overtrained in every vector of my life. I was overdoing it so much that I would finish a lecture and I would have like a fever, like shake. I was like, Scott's like, are you good? I'm like,
yeah,
no,
actually, no.
Yeah, this is
okay,
normal.
we're good, right? I'm like, let's do one more lecture. I should have just stopped.
Yeah.
So getting better is a matter of a progressive stimulus, getting into that discomfort zone. So once you're into that discomfort zone, pull back, pull away, take it easy, relax, rest, rest the day off, watch some Netflix, all that shit, relaxing and taking it easy. That's another thing you fellas have been working with high-level athletes a long time. One of the quintessential hallmarks to me of a high-level athlete is they can turn it on. They sure as shit can turn it off.
Hell yeah.
You see an athlete on their off day, they don't even know who you are because they're on their 5th blunt that day. They can't even see. Fuck, you're just some kind of shape. And that's amazing. Not the literal excessive use of marijuana, but the being able to cool it, because then they're going to recover and they're going to be real spirited for that next hard push. So be easy on yourself when you're really tired and you've pushed yourself a ton. Take all the recovery and rest that you need. This is the long play, mega fucking long play. You want to be around in 3 years, in 5 years, and 10 years, still doing the shit. And if you burn out like crazy, you're not going to be around at all. You're like, yeah, I used to do content for social media, but I fucking hated it so much I stopped doing it.
Had to quit.
People do that all the time. Mega respect to those people. They're just doing what's natural at that point. But you can lower the probability of burning out, taking yourself to the precipice, and then pulling back really, really hard.
Little life deload.
For sure.
Like on and off the court, field, whatever you play.
Yeah.
Next one's brought to you by Plyomat. Coach 'em up 5 at checkout. Mm-hmm. We'll get you on the jump mat so you're vertical.
Woo! It just registers nothing. Like you never left the mat.
Negative.
But I felt like I went high.
You're right. It was high.
Negative.
Yeah, negative. Yeah.
This can be life, fitness in general, anything else. Rant and a rave. Anything you see that you kind of want to give a little rant on, and then things you like kind of in the, we'll go fitness industry.
Oh my word. Fitness industry rant. Don't ask the question of how do I make content? There's no such thing as content. There is the specific thing that you're putting out. And that is a thing that you have to be knowledgeable about, passionate about, and you think it's going to help someone, even if it just makes them giggle, all the way up to it gives them a mega education. And that's content. So I get asked a question every now and again of like I'm just trying to make content. Like, okay, content's been pouring out of me my whole goddamn life. I can't help not fucking make content. Mm-hmm. And if you're not passionate about anything, if you don't have high level knowledge, if you don't think it'll help people, you don't have any of the 3 preconditions to make content. There's no amount of seminars you can take about how to make content that's going to fucking help you. So stop focusing on how do I make content? Nobody gives a fuck about content. People care about what you're putting out, and your frequency of content can be as low as once every few. Jeff Nippard, swear to God, puts out a video once every 3 fucking weeks at this point. Crushes. Yeah. 5 million plus on fucking YouTube. A god. Everything he puts out is golden, high level quality. But he doesn't put out that much. Who gives a shit? It's fucking awesome.
Yep.
You could put out content till you're blue in the fucking face, but it all sucks because you're not passionate about it. You don't really know much about it. You're just fucking kind of ranting about shit. And if you had to God came down and was like, is this helping anyone? You're like, not really. No. I just want the algorithm to love me. I'm gonna spare you. Here's the algorithm. This is what they do in fucking YouTube HQ. The algorithm actually only has this profoundly simple integrator in the bottom of the algorithm. The one only question the algorithm answers is, how do we get people to look at things on their phones or on their TVs or computers which they want to see? Content for the algorithm isn't some hack. It's what do people actually want? And so that question comes back to you is what can you put out there that's going to be some combination of you're inspired by it? Because if you don't have passion for shit, people sniff that out fast, bro. You can't just give boring lectures on YouTube. There's plenty of that. No one gives a fuck. You have to be passionate about it. You got to know some shit. People are like, yeah, I really want to start making content about bodybuilding training. I fucking look them up and down. I'm like, oh, where are you going to school? Well, I haven't gone to school. You're like, motherfucker, what's your favorite website to read? And they're like, I don't really consume much. I'm like, what are you going to tell people? What is it that you know? And they'll see other influencers that make content, but really it's just they have a gorgeous ass and people want to find out how to get in their taint. And that's the only reason. It's a big situation in female social media. There's people with lots of followers and well, that girl makes content. Yeah, that girl's actually a prostitute for a real job. No offense, ladies, you got to get fucking paid. But there's that big illusion. And if you're a super jacked bodybuilder, you can say anything you want. No one cares. Whoa, so what do you do for your pecs? Yeah, that's it. Right. That guy's jacked. That's not really content. That's just you existing. So if you want to make high level content, Don't ask the question about how do I make content. Ask the question of what am I inspired by? What do I have some knowledge of that I feel like would help people if I shared it? You answer those 3 questions in succession, you got a fucking content formula. But before that, you ain't got shit. It's kind of like telling Elon Musk, like, how do I make a lot of money? So you don't actually make money. You make Tesla bots and cars and microchips, and people want them, and you're passionate about making them. You know a lot about making them, and then it helps people, and they go, well, you know, I do like having $40,000, but a Tesla car would actually be more worthwhile than that. Here you go, Elon. So you ask someone how to get rich. That's a fucking nonsense question. This is, what are you producing? For producing wealth, you have to be inspired by it. You have to know some shit about it, and you have to be able to help people somehow. Like the guy who makes Gucci bags or whatever, people want to buy them for some fucking reason. It's not random. Now, it's really trippy to get caught up in social media and see people that seemingly have nothing to offer go through their 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people on TikTok and shit get distracted with that. Like, I want to be like that guy. Like, nah, you don't.
Yeah.
So when there's 15 minutes up, that guy, nobody fucking remembers that person. So you want some kind of deep value to offer that you're inspired by and that helps people. That's how you answer that question of content. And so that's my rant, is like, don't worry about being popular on social media. Don't you dare ask the question of how I get more followers. Put out awesome shit. You won't be able to help followers coming to you. People don't come to me because they're like, oh, he's got the formula for followers. No, people don't watch Mr. Beast videos because he's Mr. Beast. What the fuck is a Mr. Beast? I don't fucking know.
Right.
His videos are fucking sweet and I can't stop fucking watching them. Figure out what's sweet about those videos. See if you have any kind of angle on that. Then make your own shit. That's the big kicker there. And then raving. Man, I've met a lot of people just randomly out in the street. I'm getting to a level of like enough people know me that like if I walk down the street long enough that somebody will be like, Dr. Mike. And I got to rave about like human beings that I've met because there's so many just fucking awesome people. And it's so awesome for me to connect with humans. Like, and one guy yesterday said, he's like, oh man, like you're a lot nicer than I thought you'd be. And I'm like, uh-oh, am I coming off me?
Like, I'm going to critique your outfit right now.
Yeah, well, of course, that's basically what I said. I was like, fuck you. But, you know,
There it is.
Yeah, it's dope and all to have like tons of followers or be relevant, but all the people I've met in real life through this whole thing, and they're so fucking great. And don't get too down on yourself if you have very few Instagram followers. And most of my best friends are hardly on social media, and they're the best people I know. Mm-hmm. And so the whole rat race of subscribers and followers and relevance and all this other shit, you know, you'll see people that come to your gym that have a lot of followers and big on social media. Sometimes they're cool as fuck. Sometimes they're lukewarm. Sometimes they're straight up cocksuckers. Right. And you're kind of like, what does that person have that I don't? The answer is probably not much. Yep. They just have like kind of a strangely shaped head and have some bullshit second grade level humor. And then like that seems to be what's
That's what sells now. That's
like,
the formula.
You guys, and like, yeah, for real. So like, as you know, speaking to the people like, you know, that don't have big followings or whatever, you just keep doing your goddamn best. And as a human being, you're already the fucking shit. Everything else is icing on the cake. Don't hurt anyone. Don't steal anything. Pay your fucking taxes. Be productive in some way. You already got it all, man. We're all living in fucking paradise already. People get real down on themselves. Like, oh, how can I get so many followers? You meet enough influencers and you're like, I actually want to be the fuck away from these people.
What's the opposite of this thing?
Yeah, 100%. So I guess I'm raving about just regular folks getting after it.
I like that a lot.
Fucking best. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. We got one more for you, Mike.
All right.
This is called Unsolicited Solicited Advice.
Okay.
This is brought to you by Amazfit. They just released a new watch. It's called the T-Rex 3. It's named after a fucking dinosaur, and that's all I needed to know.
That's it.
It is cool. Here's a scenario. You're so close to finally leaving this gym for the day, and you're walking out. You walk down the stairs, and you see someone, and they're curling in the squat rack, and you feel compelled. There's something about this person, apart from their obvious misplacement of curls. You got to tell them this thing. Whatever that thing is, this thing can be about life. It can be about training. It can be about how much you love their shoes. What is one piece of unsolicited advice that you would give to a stranger?
I love it. Surprisingly, this is the one that in my head pops up right away with the answer. The other ones I had to be like, oh, I don't know, this one. very well documented thing that humans have on average is they are under the burden of what's called the pessimistic fallacy, otherwise known as pessimistic bias. There are a few hypotheses for why people have this. Let me explain it first and then get to the hypotheses. In any given scenario, especially in how people anticipate their lives or the general society and social evolution and the standard of living and how we're all living in 5 or 10 or 20 years, how the global order looks, people on average tend to be grossly pessimistic. So they're like, man, shit's falling apart. Shit's not like it used to be. TikTok's rotting everyone's brain. Everyone's a pussy. What generation are we on now?
I don't even know.
CXYW.
Yeah.
Alpha or some shit. Anyway, they suck. They weren't like insert generation before.
Right.
Generation.
Right. We knew how to fucking do World War II, man, the good old days. So there's that. Is a thing that most people on average exhibit, and they have no idea. And probably the best hypothesis for why we have that is in our ancestral environment, where it was like Steven Pinker described it, as a renowned psychologist, like a camping trip that never ends. Also, you have no like propane stove or tent. And that's how we all evolved, like living outside like animals. And that hunter-gatherer lifestyle is brutal as fuck. Mm-hmm. And for thousands of years, hundreds of thousands, it just didn't really get in any experiential way better. You use the same stone tools your grandpa used, and your grandson's going to be using the same stupid fucking stone tools, maybe like a little sharper or something, but probably not witnessable on a generational time scale. So humans know that things don't improve. Intuitively, we feel that they don't improve over time. And we know that things fundamentally, when they're good, it's rare times because they're going to get back to the average of sucking. Because life used to, on average, suck back in the day. That's how we evolved to anticipate things. We carry all sorts of ancestral designs with us in our brain. Like, why are monsters a thing? Why are children all afraid of monsters? Children dream about monsters if they've never seen a single movie. Did you guys know that?
That's
fucking
big
nuts, teeth and everything.
Dude.
It's right from DNA. Because if you ever Google Pleistocene megafauna, there used to be animals that were like 3 times the size of normal animals, and they all fucking predated on us. There used to be a carnivorous bird that was 12 feet tall and ate humans.
Oh God!
Luckily, it was flightless, but it ran faster than us.
So fast, no getting away.
No.
Have you ever seen the way a bird looks too?
Godless.
Yes, not a soul to be had.
No, like outside of Christendom, right? Like we need a crusade against fucking carnivorous birds. Luckily, humans did hunt them all to extinction. Thank fucking God,
yes.
I might add.
Yeah.
But, like that was the life we're all sort of evolved to live. Brutal. And we are now officially at the sort of beginning, not even beginning, ending the first third of what's called the fourth industrial revolution. And so the third industrial revolution was the electronics revolution. Like back in 1920, electronics did not exist. Now everyone uses them. The fourth industrial revolution is going to make us all so fucking wealthy that shit's just not going to make sense anymore. We're going to cure almost every disease. We're going to recode our own genome. We're going to be able to upgrade our intelligence. We're going to be able to upgrade psychiatric conditions. We'll all be cured. This is all essentially inevitable and probably happening in the next 20 to 25 years. It used to be controversial among major futurists that have gotten more predictions right than wrong. It's not even controversial anymore. The only time better to be alive is like later.
Right. Yeah. Like be born today.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Ideally in 5 years.
Right.
So we're living through an unreal mega era of human prosperity. And that means each individual person has a life that they couldn't even imagine is going to be so amazing on average. There's exceptions, of course, but betting on things getting better is not optimism. It's just pragmatism at this point. Almost every single piece of research confirms that this is the case. People can't hear it. You'll get a ton of fucking comments on this podcast. Look, guys, overly optimistic. Bullshit. Just didn't do your homework, and I did. But good news. Yeah. Good news. Things are getting better all the time. And so what I would say to the person that's curling in the squat rack, so things are about to get real better for you because go curl over there.
Right.
But see, isn't that nicer? They're like, no, I hate putting the bar all the way down on the ground. I'm like, I don't even know I told you that. There's no one around, curl in the squat rack. It's totally
that's
fine.
Right.
But Anytime you feel down on yourself or things aren't going your way, remember that on average, especially over the course of several years' time, things get better all the time. So if you're feeling down, remember that things are going to get better and things are probably going to be much better later, and you're going to be doing better and everything's going to be great. And then even better and even better and even better. If you know that that's coming, it paints a slightly different picture. Imagine the average person in the early 1980s, how they saw life. The 60s were turmoil. The 70s were kind of like, not much happened. And you know, 1981, you're like, oh, I don't know, man. Life's going to be tough. The 80s, like everyone's wealth doubled for the love of God. All the cocaine you
So
can
much
snort.
cocaine.
Clubbing.
Yeah.
More cocaine, Wall Street,
wealth.
also cocaine, money, which you could use to buy cocaine with.
Basically, it was cocaine.
It's just all cocaine when I think about it. And then you think, okay, the 80s were over, right? Okay, it's tough, back to reality. The 90s were even better, but like in a low-key family, Beethoven the dog kind of way. Bill Clinton basically solved partisan politics. It was fucking smooth sailing. And then you're like, okay, 2001, that fucking sucked, totally. Stochastic shit events happen. 2001 to 2010, I mean, the 2000s was the birth of the modern internet, for the love of God.
Yeah.
You know, I met my wife on Facebook. What the fuck is a Facebook? I'd have to marry some bitch from my hometown, which means I'd still be single because nobody loved me back then. Understandably, of course. And then we're getting to this point now, just as a quick illustration of like, you guys, ChatGPT is alive. It's smarter than us, and it's kind, and it only wants to help us, and it's read the whole fucking internet, more or less. It's insane. Can you guys imagine what it's like? You guys ever see the show Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Like them fucking kids out there fighting that goddamn monster. Somebody pull out a smartphone and ChatGPT the shit.
How to
no
kill
can do.
Demogorgon. Yeah.
ChatGPT's like,
Yeah.
like blah 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 blah.
As quickly as
1,
possible.
2, 3,
Yeah.
4,
Yeah.
5.
New prompt.
Yeah. You just like embody Chat GPT. It kills the thing instantly. It's like, what can I help you with now? You're like, that'll be it. Thank you so much.
you.
Just disappears for the time being. They couldn't Google shit. You have to go to the fucking library. What kind of dog shit is that? And they didn't have the book about the thing you wanted to learn about. You were fucking shit out of luck. You could like tell your librarian to like requisition a book from the central New York library system or something totally insane. Now we talk to machines. They talk to us like people, and they know almost everything. And we're like, I don't know. The world kind of sucks. What the fuck are you talking
the
about?
best it's ever been.
Our poorest people in America are our fattest people. If you told someone in the 1600s that, they'd be like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, whatever.
Also, try to explain what you do for a living and what you do for a living to someone from 1880. You'd be like, okay, so like, a lot of people play sports in the future. They're like, sports, like soccer, I don't think was invented yet. Basketball was invented like 1890. So you might even have a hard time telling people what sports are, like golf, like leisure, like rich people do. They're like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I get. So I help people get better at sports. And they're like, why? It's for leisure. You're like, okay. So
it's a lot of money. That's actually.
I train. Hold on. Do you remember the gladiators from Roman times? Like, yes. Like, okay. So imagine the gladiators are a thing. Right? Okay. And they compete all the time. Like, okay. But no one ever dies. Like, okay. And so they need training so they can really entertain the crowd. Like, okay, that's what I do. And they're like, okay, so what do you do for your real job? Like, that's my only job. And they're like, okay, so you must be really poverty stricken. Like, if I wanted to buy all the food that I can buy, I would blow up physically before I ran out of money. And they're like, okay, but you must live outdoors. You're like, actually, I live inside and it's air conditioned. They're like, what's air conditioned? I'm like, I know this sounds crazy, but all the shit your houses are made of is nonsense, like wood on top of wood. We don't even do that anymore. Like, it turns out shit's made of like atoms and there's different elements. And like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I know it kind of sounds like magic, but like my house is completely hermetically sealed and I live in like Texas, which is really super hot, but I don't have to experience that because they give like the only kind of temperature like Leeds, England in May on a perfect day with overcast. That's how inside of my house is all the time.
24/7.
Okay, but the smoke from your furnace must really fuck with it. Like, oh, no, my house gets heated. I don't actually know how my house gets heated. I think it's something to do with gas. I call someone when it breaks and like they come fix it. They're like, what's calling? You're like, right, okay, this is really going to find us out.
Difficult.
So all this shit we take for granted is just going to be times 10 and times 10 and times 10. And Amazon, last rant. Amazon exists. Imagine describing Amazon to anybody. Like, I want something. Good news, Amazon probably knows what I want already. And they're like, how? Like data science, I think. And I go onto Amazon and it's completely curated for me. and I go protein bars and I look through which ones are the best. And Amazon's calculated which one's probably the best value already. And I click on it and I go buy now. And they already know everything. They automatically take money from my account, which is not that much money. Somehow, I still don't know how, they already have it in a warehouse.
Close.
It's 3 hours away. Yeah. And by 4 p.m. today, they're going to have this thing to my house. And they're like, okay, you must be super loaded. Like everyone uses Amazon. Everyone. It just doesn't cost really any money. Amazon Prime's like $12 a month or some shit to subscribe to. Nonsense. Amazing times. So if you told anyone what your life is like today, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 100 years ago, they'd be like, some combination of, oh my fucking God, and they understand, to like, I don't even understand what the fuck you're saying.
Yep.
And if you told someone in like 1850, they're like, okay, so like, what's the future like? Was only 2% of Americans are involved in farming. They'd be like, so everyone's starving to death. Like, no, machines do the farming. Like, how can 2% of people operate that much machinery? Like, integrated systems and AI and scaling. And they're like, what the fuck is that? Like, honestly, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I just
but
know.
That is how it works.
Can you imagine taking a caveman and explaining to them and then showing them the concept of a grocery store? These motherfuckers, day in and day out, hand to mouth, surviving on the fucking land. And you're like, man, they didn't have my low-fat chicken sausages again. Damn. He's like, what the fuck is that? You're like, this is really going to be hard to explain. But you see, the high-fat ones are so good. We have so many of them, they actually make us sick because there's too much good stuff. It would just be total nonsense. Like, people talk about like, oh, I'm addicted to like scrolling. Like, there's so much amazing content on the internet for free that it's addicting. What a problem to have. So if you get pessimistic, remember, by the evolution of the universe, things are getting exponentially better over time. Calm down, cheer the fuck up. Things are getting better. Do your best, stay diligent, stay intelligent, work your shit, take a break. And then over time, it's very likely that your life will continue to get better. My only last piece of advice is, try to be grateful for it. Not grateful if you're a person who believes in God and religion, absolutely be grateful to Lord and Savior, because holy shit, he's been doing great lately, blessing us with all this shit. If you're not a religious person, just be grateful. The shit is so goddamn good when it's good. Don't take shit for granted. Like, I've had a lot of times recently when the wealth and success has been like blowing up, in which I'm like huge sums of money hit my account. And my first reaction is to kind of be like, okay. No, not okay. Israetel, you fucking idiot. Gratefulness. And if you're grateful, it's just a great thing for your life. Yeah. Because it makes you feel better. Wherever you are in your life, be grateful for what you have. Don't you dare get jealous of people that have more. Diligently work on your shit so you can get better. And over time, you will have more and you will have more. As you get more, don't take it for granted. Sit down maybe at least once a day, maybe once a week, and be like, God damn, you fellas, look at the fucking goddamn gorgeous podcast studio you have. A triple cam with 4. How many fucking cameras? Well, the fuck up, I didn't sign a waiver for this. There's a camera right there, camera right there, camera on my crotch.
There's plenty of cameras you don't know about.
This is fucking unbelievable shit you guys have here. You're doing fucking great work. Gratefulness.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
I love that, man.
That was awesome.
It was.
I'm fired
nailed
up.
it.
Let's go kill a bison like the old days.
Mike, we know where to find you, but for people who don't know where to find you, where can people find you on socials and YouTube?
All right, so my home address.
Nice.
My wife has guns. That's all I have to say, and she can't wait to kill somebody. You guys have seen her. She's a mean lady. Not really. I'm on Instagram, Dr. Mike Israetel, so it's easy find, at Dr. Mike Israetel. RP Strength on Instagram is also super cool. It's the company I help run. That's super dope. And then honestly, just YouTube is probably the best place to find us. So Renaissance Periodization on YouTube, aka RP Strength. If you just type Dr. Mike, Dr.Mike, scroll a little bit and you'll see like a much more handsome, also Russian Jewish fella. That's not me. That's the real Dr. Mike. He's the fucking man. Follow him too. And then scroll until you see something ugly and bald. Click on that. Watch a few videos. If you don't like it, fuck me. I'm overrated anyway. If you like it, click subscribe. You'll get more of my bullshit.
I love it. Mike, thank you for hanging out with us, dude.
Thank you so much.
It was a fucking blast.
I loved it.
And we'll see you next time, man.
Thank you so much.
Later, y'all.
Peace.